personalities, and podcasting, you know, and yeah, they do have followers and they do have an influence, but in the overall grand scheme of things, I mean, who is the biggest baddie of them all? You know, I mean, why am I going to be going, up against uh personalities, why am I going to be going up against a Hydra soldier when I got Thanos staring me right in the face? You know?
We are live now. I figure we start, and then you guys, I see the title. Jimmy Dore joins Fred Hampton Leftists. He will be here around 10-15 minutes, I'm guessing, and then we can do our transition, introduction to that stream. Right now, we were just doing some pre-show, waiting for Jimmy Dore to get here. But I want you to repeat what you just said, Jim. Sorry, JB. I want you to repeat what you just said. Anyway, you guys know this is JB Font, Nick Socials
Mhm,
MMA. Quick introduction. We're gonna cut the Jimmy Dore video separate anyway. Anyway,
mhm.
JB, what would you say about capitalism? I want you to repeat what you
Um,
said for the audience.
okay.
Then we pop
Um,
some our stream up as well.
okay. I understand when people talk about, different problematic people on Twitter or on, YouTube or podcasts,
Repeat what you just
and they
said.
kind
Just
of go
anyway.
after them all the time. I understand that, and they do have somewhat of a following, but they are not the enemy that we should be going after all the time. Capitalism is the enemy. And like I was saying before, why are we going after some little Hydra soldier when we got Thanos standing staring us right in the face? Like,
I love
it
that.
doesn't make sense for us to keep going, after these, you know, people. Like, there's some that it's like, who gives a shit about them? Like, in the grand scheme of things, they are not the ones who are making it so that you cannot declare bankruptcy on, your student loans. They are not the ones who are making sure that you don't have health care. They are not the ones who are sending people abroad to to commit a genocide of Palestinian people. These are not the ones who are trying to push corporations into making our government go to other countries to extract resources and then screw over the people. These are not the people that we should be going against. The people who we should be going against are the capitalists, the oligarchs, and the oppressors. And that's the people who I'm focused on. So this is one of the reasons why you don't hear me talk about some of these people on Twitter, because they don't matter. They don't matter. And the thing is that if you keep giving them oxygen, they will keep growing. They're like a fire. If you suppress it, then they go away. And so this is one of the reasons why I don't give them any attention.
That is well said. And the people who just spend all their time just focusing on podcasters instead of punching up on politicians, they usually live a very comfortable life. So, like the policy and the nerdy part of politics may bore them a little bit. So they focus
Hmm.
on political personality because that's the interesting part for them. They don't
Yeah.
really care if these things get passed. They just want their team to win at the end of the day. And anyone who speaks out against their team and vote and agreeing with them on electoral policies, they see that beyond the pale. So like people will cancel me because they disagree with my approach on electoral politics. Meanwhile, they forgive a white leftist who said the N word in 2019.
Yeah.
Doesn't that show that where the priorities are?
Hmm.
They forgive like the white racist and they want to rehabilitate him, but I'm beyond the pale because I disagree with their philosophy on voting. And people wonder
Hmm.
why I think it's a code. Thank you guys for watching. Once
Hmm.
again, Jimmy Dore will be here. I think in around 5-10 minutes. I'm watching my notifications. I got the. He's gonna be here soon. You guys catching us live. I'm thinking I'm gonna cut the full replay of the interview separate. But for now, we just want to talk and I want to address the chat a lot too in the pre-show.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's gonna be a fun conversation. Think we got about 30 minutes with them, but what we do here, we bash Democrats. Me and JB, we love bashing Democrats. That's what we do. We bash the ruling class. We bash capitalism. We bash imperialism. We bash Zionism. And Jimmy
Yeah.
Dore bashed the Democratic Party. He bashed capitalism. He bashed Zionism. He goes after the fascist police state. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna
Yep.
do. That's exactly why we brought him on. Our channel is all about how much we hate the government and how big of a problem state violence is. And that's what Jimmy Dore does a really good job explaining that. and we're
Mhm.
gonna have a good conversation. That's what we're about. So he should be here pretty soon. Fingers crossed. I know he's pretty busy, but he confirmed. But we got a few minutes left anyway. Let's see how everyone's doing. Anything you want to say, JB? Before I get to the chat.
Yeah. So as far as the Fred Hampton leftists, and we were talking about this earlier. One of the things that we need to be mindful of is the YouTube algorithms. A lot of
Yep.
times, what they do is they like to suppress our voices. And right now, there's even a trend going around on Twitter where there's a particular, I think it's a bot or something like that, that shows who's problematic and who isn't.
Yeah,
And if
we
you
yeah we
notice, oh, go ahead.
no yeah I was just agreeing with you. Yeah, I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
hmm And it's showing that anybody who's on the left is showing us as problematic or troublesome, basically, according to the tweets that we make. And the tweets that we make are actually attacking things like imperialism, capitalism, and racism. So if that's considered problematic, then that's the issue there. And so if you think Twitter's the only one that's doing it, and there you have bots on Twitter that's doing that, think again. You have bots on Facebook, you have bots on YouTube. Hell, you
Yes.
probably have bots on TikTok who are probably doing the exact same thing. And so to beat the algorithm, one of the things that we ask is to not only as you like and comment, but also subscribe, because this is one of the things that we try to get around the algorithm. Because truth be told, they don't want us on this platform at all,
Not at
because
all.
we are antithetical to the oppressive structure that they have set in place.
That is well said, man. And
Hmm
what we're trying to do here, and that's why we are humbly ask for support, because the algorithm is not going to do us any favor. Jimmy breaks it down on his show as well, and he can kind of explain as well during the show what the corporate establishment is openly doing to independent news. Like CNN,
Oh yeah.
what did a segment bragging and they had and actually there was a YouTube executive who was
hmm
openly bragging at a forum where she was like, yeah, we go after independent content and we boost voices like CNN and Fox News. So they are
hmm
open about this. So that's why we
Oh
asked you
yeah.
to hit the bell, and that's why I tweet. Like you guys see that I tweet my like live streams a lot. And
hmm
I'm sorry if I'm being annoying, but but I look at the analytics, and if you look at like our views, the only way people are see our show is through my Twitter. So that's why
hmm
I'm like I gotta do that because the algorithm's
hmm
not gonna help. You sharing
hmm
help. So hopefully
hmm
we get Jimmy in soon, but um,
Yeah.
that's why we. Oh yeah, I want to share this too, and we can. This is good time. This is something good to talk about. Because one thing we want to do right now, we a network, and one thing we want to do is grow even more, and that because we more than a podcast. Like I want to actually give back to the community, right?
hmm hmm
And our fellow Fred Hampton leftists, my friend Rome here. A lot of you guys know him on Twitter. He's been doing a lot of great stuff, traveling the country, helping people get clothes, feeding them. He's living life as a Fred Hampton leftist, right?
hmm
And I'm clear about this, and I'm going to talk to the chairman himself here very soon, Fred Hampton Jr. himself,
hmm
and I'll pick his brain on how I can be better as a Fred Hampton leftist. We're very honest about how we just want to continue to improve,
hmm
but this is what we strive to be. This
Yeah.
year, Rome hashtag Tour for the Poor, and once again, I am humbly asking you guys. I'm not in this game to get money. You guys know that. Like I don't. That's not what I'm about. I want to
hmm
help the community. I want to help my people, and that's why I unapologetically advocate for my people. So
Yes.
this is why I'm asking you to donate to Rome uh, mutual aid event here. This is why I'm
hmm
asking because I care about improving the lives of people, and Rome is really making us proud for what he's doing here. So please support that. Please
hmm
support that guy. That's a humble ask on my
hmm
behalf.
And
Go
can I
ahead,
just
Jay.
add something? I want to
Yeah.
add something to that. When we say our people, we're not just talking about black people.
Yes,
We're not just talking
absolutely.
about white people. We're talking about Hispanic, Asian. We're talking about gender nonconforming. We're talking about gay, lesbian, bi, straight. We're talking about everyone, Indigenous American, anybody who is in need, who has been subject to the capitalist system and being bogged down by it. That's who we're talking about. That's our people. And so, just like what Nick has said, and it's such a great point that we're doing this because real leftism means fighting for the people who you also disagree with. So if we're fighting for people who we disagree with, you can imagine we're fighting with people who we agree with. So, because I mean, am I going too far by saying, Nick, am I going too far by saying
Oh,
we also want the people who are capitalists, we want them to have, healthcare, we want them to have tuition-free college, we also want them to not have to worry about the wars and things like that. Is that too much that we're saying?
that's why I would never apologize for my message. And
Exactly.
one thing I want to make clear is it's very, very healthy to hate your oppressors.
Of
And it's
course.
very healthy to unapologetically advocate for your community. So when people, and I saw one of them today, she was an Amy Klobuchar fan, and she was like, "How dare you be mean to politicians?" I'm like, "What? What?" Amy Klobuchar is a cop, bro, and she's
Hmm.
responsible for not prosecuting Derek Chauvin. And
Hmm.
she's the second highest funded by the cops, but she was like, "You mean to the
Yeah.
politicians? Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?"
Yeah. I think it might have been a parody account, but still, I mean,
And then while asking,
still,
like, these liberals are so crazy now, I legitimately cannot tell if it's a parody account anymore. I can't.
that's the sad part.
But the best I can do is have fun on the timeline. That's what I want to do.
Hmm.
I got
Definitely.
confirmation for Jimmy. He's gonna be here any minute, guys. So
Oh,
not pulling
okay.
your legs. He's coming.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
see people are joining the chat. Say hi. Like I said, Jimmy had 30 minutes with us, but that's why I figured I'd start live and then we just get right into it because we got 30 minutes. I don't want to take too much of his time.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna get to some of the chats if I as well, like afterwards, because I'm gonna like if I'm here, I might as well do a show, right? JB, you free to stay or leave whenever because I'm vibing now.
Hmm.
Because we got 30 minutes. You guys know I usually do my show for about 90 minutes, so I might stay
Hmm.
to answer some questions and discuss some more
Hmm.
stories.
Hmm.
Because I have a lot to talk with Jimmy about. But I'm
Hmm.
gonna just let him go, and I'll just let him rant. And whenever we gotta go, I can cover the rest of the stories I have saved. That's what I'm thinking. Because I don't really don't think we're gonna get to all the stories that I have saved in 30 minutes. And
Hmm.
plus I want you to get you involved too. So
Hmm.
it's gonna be a fun time. And once again, and this is the tweet I made right now, and I'm glad we got almost 100 viewers in here. I just want to be clear here. A lot of people may have issues with Jimmy Dore on whatever issue. I'm not validating that. But I would give massive props for someone who is willing to go on a platform of a black leftist and elevate black leftist voices like he does. Like, yeah, Justin Jackson on the show as well. Big props for him to doing that instead of a lot of people who have white streamers on talking about black issues for clicks. I'm not trying to start beef. I'm not saying name. But this is not just a recent problem. This is something that's been going on for a long time. I was talking to Sabrina Sabbs.
Hmm.
And there's like white people just talk for us. And there'll be like white people that'll say the N word in 2019. He'll apologize. He's like, nah, we don't trust him. And you like, oh, we accepted his apology on your behalf.
What?
What?
Wait, hold on.
No, this is what
Hold
they
on. Hold
seriously.
on.
This is what they seriously believe. This is what they
For
seriously
real?
believe. This is what they seriously believe. They are they're JD, but they apologize, so you should accept their apology. And when we don't accept it, they feel like we unreasonable. I'm like, it's not
Hmm.
on you for me to be okay with it. There he is. There he
Hmm.
is, my friend. We give you some
How's it?
time. How you doing, Jimmy? How you doing?
Can't hear you yet.
I heard him a little
Could you
bit.
1, 2, 3? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, I
now we
can
can
hear
hear you.
you. How you
Hmm.
doing, Jimmy? Jimmy
Okay,
Dore,
good.
welcome. Fred
Great
Hampton
to see you
Leftist.
guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm very happy that you joined our show, and I appreciate you coming on. I have a lot to talk to you about.
Hmm.
Because I was talking about before we speak, and our main focus that we have is speaking on policies from like a black leftist perspective.
Hmm.
And now I see like the corporate media establishment, they always want to lock out like black leftist voices, the voices that usually have in the media, like Joyanne Reed, for example. They're only allowed to say one thing in the corporate news, and there's only one narrative that you get out of black liberals. So what
Hmm.
we try to do here at Fred Hampton Leftists, because a lot of young black men will tell you the same story, that the
Hmm.
people you see on corporate news, the people you see in the suits, the people that are part of the Democratic Party, that that are black skinned, the Barack Obama, the Jim Clyburns, they do not represent us. They do not represent us, and the corporate news does not represent us. So that's why I like your show, because you kind of focus more on the state violence issues, the foreign policy issues that they tend to ignore. Hell, there's a lot of progressive media that tend to ignore these issues now, right? Since I'm on the,
it's all about.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
It's all about a substitution of identity for actual policies, right? So that's been the big problem, right? So Barack Obama governed like Ronald Reagan, and
Yes.
and that was the big problem that people didn't, and that's why we got a Donald Trump. So that's been the focus of my show. People say, why don't you focus more on the Republicans on your show? And I say, because the reason why we got Donald Trump wasn't because of the Republicans' failure, it's because of the Democrats' failure. They're not the Democratic Party anymore. The Democratic Party became the Republican Party. So now we have two Republican parties. And we don't have a left party anymore. We don't have lefty politicians. And even if we do have lefty politicians, for some reason, they won't fight. And I don't know what that's about, but they won't. Right now, we're witnessing Bernie Sanders not do anything with his movement, never use his leverage. The same thing with the squad. The only time they did coordinate their votes was to increase funding for the cops. So they made sure 3 of them voted present so it would pass by 1 vote. So they do coordinate their votes, but it's only to screw us, and it's only to help the establishment. So what I find very, the joke I make about the Democratic Party is that if it was 1860, the Democrats would be bragging about their first transgendered slave owner. So that's what we have to get away from. That's not progress, right? We saw recently, I forgot who it was, someone listed all the CEOs and how much money they're making, and it's just gross amounts of money, right? And it's really a symbol of the failures of capitalism when 80% of workers are living paycheck to paycheck, and 50% of workers can't afford a $500 emergency, and they're listing, here's the top 10 CEOs, and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars, and someone says, where are the women's names? No, that's not progress when we get women to be just as corrupted and to be just as oppressive as males are. That's not progress, but that's what the Democrats want you to think progress is, so that we don't actually make progress and get rid of this neoliberalism. So they're the people who are pushing neoliberalism and globalism and the suppression of a worker, the oppression of workers, and now they want to make you feel better. But just like they had the CIA. Did you see that commercial they had about this woke? It was a woman of color who has anxiety issues, and now she gets to drop bombs and help kill other brown people around the world and create anxiety issues for them. I mean,
they know their audience.
The answer to our problem isn't to have more people of color in banking screwing over America, or the answer is to have policies that help people of color, not to have people of color doing the oppressing. So you find it so that's where that's the focus of my show. The reason why our country's in the way it is because there is no opposition party anymore. It got completely co-opted. When Bill Clinton became president, he got in bed with the Koch brothers. Literally, they had executives from the board members of the Koch brothers in the Democratic Leadership Council, which is what Bill Clinton and Al Gore started. People don't know the history of how we got Donald Trump. It starts there. That's where it starts. When Bill Clinton and the Democrats got so scared of Ronald Reagan that they was like, well, if you can't beat him, join him. So that's when Bill Clinton had his sister soldier moment. I don't know if you guys remember what that was, but that was when he had to show the white racist that he wanted to vote for him, that he could stand up to blacks, right? So he did that, and then he cut the needs out from underneath working union people by NAFTA, right? People forget George Bush the first couldn't get NAFTA passed. It took a Democrat to come in to give those blue dog Democrats cover to vote against unions, and that kneecapped unions until today. I mean, NAFTA screwed them over, right? So that was Bill Clinton. At the same time, he deregulated the media. So instead of having 50 giant media companies, we now have 6. So everybody works for the same handful of billionaires, which is why you can't get any adversarial journalism happening, right? That's why you have to come to places like this or places like my show. You have to go to YouTube or something like that, and they're suppressing that now. Yes. So that's why I focus on what I focus on. And the people who come at me, it scares the shit out of them that when they see class unity, right? So class unity among people who hate each other scares the shit out of them. And I've highlighted class unity when the Black Panthers worked with the white racists in Chicago. Well, they also in Las Vegas. I'm blanking on the Black Panther woman who I saw on a video talking about how when the government and the governor came and took away their state assistance and their welfare checks in Nevada, she walked into a white church and the pastor said, "What are you doing in here?" and called her the N-word. "N-word, what are you doing in here?" And she said, "You don't have to like me, but if I don't get my check, you don't get your check." And so they ended up marching together and shutting down the strip in Las Vegas, and they got their check. So my point is that's what really scares the government, the establishment, the ruling elite, and the media and the Democratic Party is when they see class solidarity, and that's what they're going to try to break up. That's why they use identity politics. They want us fighting. Didn't Charles Barkley just say this? They want us fighting amongst each other to keep. So once it turns into the 99% against the 1%, that's what they're afraid of, and that's what I'm pushing for.
Yeah, that's well said, and that's kind of exactly why I go after the Democratic Party as well, because I always want to say it this way, and I have a few things I want to ask you as well right after that. I explained the liberals are extremely dangerous. The Republican Party is a joke. We beat the Republican Party on all these issues, and I covered the issue of defund the police. And one of the reasons why defund the police soared in popularity, and now you got 55% independent supported, because you have people like Ben Shapiro, you have people like Candace Owens, they will come on social media. They're like, yeah, George Floyd is a thug who deserved to die. So when they say stuff like that, they are helping us. That's why they lose on the. That's why they lose on the issues of Medicare for all. They lose on the issue of decriminalizing marijuana. Like they always lose on these issues over the long run. So they are not a threat. You know who's a threat? The people who put Black Lives Matter in their bio while propping up the guy who was deporting Haitian immigrants at a faster rate than Donald Trump did. That's who is the threat to us. You guys realize that the Democratic Party, the people in the Senate, they are funded by the cops more than Republicans. You know who's number two by distance? Amy Klobuchar. The same person that the corporate media establishment loved is funded by the police. And what's the result of that? She had an opportunity to prosecute Derek Chauvin, and she did not. So I don't want to hear you say you support Black Lives Matter if you support the Democratic Party, period. So that's why I have my approach, because the people who getting killed, they getting killed in blue cities, and they're being killed by people like Eric Adams in NYC in New York, who still push stop and frisk to this day. One of the leading candidates for the Democratic Party supports stop and frisk. And you want me to be scared about Marjorie Taylor Greene? Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin has done more to tank the Biden agenda than Marjorie Taylor Greene ever has done. It's the Democrats that denied you health care. And one thing I want to say, I want to get your thoughts on this, Jimmy, as well. Because the Republican voters, and this is why I always highlight, right? The Republican voters are to the right of Joe Biden on the issue of health care. 56%.
No, they're to the left.
Oh, sorry, left, to the left. Sorry, to the left. I misspoke. They are to the left. 56% of Republicans are to the left of Joe Biden on health care, because 56% of them support a public option that Joe Biden is not even giving you. And one out of four supports Medicare for all. That goes against all what the media tells you, doesn't it?
So what I try to tell people is like Joe Biden, they keep saying, well, Joe Biden's going to keep doing his centrist nonsense. It's not centrist. There's nothing centrist about being against Medicare for all. That's an extreme position. That Joe Biden is a radical when it comes to healthcare. There's no other elected leader in the Western world who agrees with Joe Biden. Joe Biden is to the right of Boris Johnson. He's to the right of Angela, but he's to the right of everybody when it comes to healthcare. He's a radical. He won't give you a living wage. He's a radical. He won't even give you a public option. That's radical. Joe Biden is not centrist. He's a radical. He's a radical right winger, and people don't realize. You know, they just upped the Pentagon budget, right, by $20 billion. You know what $20 billion could do? It could end homelessness. We could end home. That's how much $20 billion. That's a lot of money. People have no idea the difference between a million and a billion. What the example everybody gives: 1,000,000 seconds is like 11 days. 1,000,000,000 seconds is like 30 years. That's a lot of money. $20 billion. You could change a lot of things. So what they did, they just gave it, and there was no debate. There was no town halls. Anderson Cooper didn't go down to West Virginia and talk to. There was no op-eds in the newspaper. They just did $20 billion, and nobody blinked. Nobody blinked. And then by the way, they were asking him to do $50 billion in student loan debt relief. He won't do that. But he will give $20 billion at a blink of an eye. So this idea that Joe Biden is centrist is crazy. Joe Biden is a right-wing radical. And that's what people don't realize, is just how radical the Democratic Party became. And you remember when this pandemic first hit, the leader in the House, Nancy Pelosi, said, we got to make those vaccines affordable. That was her flex, that we got to charge. Of course, we got to make money off this pandemic. Of course, everybody's got to make money. So that's how the gears work. And as they're and when you vote for anybody with the Democrat, they're going to go and vote against you. They're going to screw you. They voted for the largest upward transfer of wealth in the history of humankind. And that was the first CARES Act. And they did nothing about it. AOC went on the floor and gave us grandstanding speech saying that this is crumbs. It was crumbs. She was right. Why did she vote for it? Why didn't they all vote together to block it? Why didn't Bernie Sanders put a hold on that bill? They did nothing. Just like they're doing nothing to get you a minimum wage. Nothing. Bernie Sanders, again, could have put a hold on the bill. Joe Biden put a hold to get the fucking thing taken out. So they won't ever use their leverage or flex voting Democrat. As Shama Sawant points out, the road for progressives inside the Democratic Party leads to a graveyard.
Yeah, that's true. I actually had an interview with Shama Sawant a couple weeks back, and that was a wonderful interview that I had with her. And nice to meet you, Jimmy.
Nice to meet you.
My name is James, by the way, so I guess we're both kind of the same name. One of the things that I also want to fault people like Joe Biden for is that he is very extremely pro-police. As you know, that there are many of us who believe in not only defunding the police, but also leading to police abolition. One of the reasons why is that police is a white supremacist institution, even to the point where Chairman Fred Hampton used to call police pigs because of the white supremacists. So this is one of the reasons why people like the Patriots, the Young Patriots, back then, they worked with, they were anti-racist and worked with the they worked with the Black Panthers. And so what is your thoughts on defunding the police, police abolition? What do you think about that?
So I wholeheartedly endorse the idea that we have to completely rethink policing in America. Policing is exactly what you said it is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, again, I come from a long line of cops. My grandpa was a cop in Chicago. My dad was a cop in Chicago. My oldest brother was a cop in Chicago. A lot of my best friends in Chicago were cops. So I know a lot of cops. And I know the culture of the cops. And I also talk to people who study the culture of the cops. And the problem is the policing culture in America. And so you either succumb to that culture or you leave. Those are the two. So that's why when you go, oh, there's just bad apples. It's not a bad apple. When Derek Colvin was kneeling on George Floyd's neck, there were 3 other cops standing there and watching it, right? So this is a culture, right? And of course, if that wasn't on film, they would have all covered up for him. Which is what happens all the time, right? It's a culture of policing, and now that people have videotape, we see it. They can't stop it now. So what we need to do is like what police do is like, oh, we're going to appoint a new police chief to let's say Pasadena, and he's going to come in and he's going to have his agenda. Like, here's how we're going to do it. It should be the opposite. He should have to come to the public and they're going to give him our agenda. Here's what we want out of our police. Like, for instance, hey, what do you want to do when you pick up a kid for curfew? Do you want us to arrest them? No, we don't want you to arrest them. This is how we want you to handle this, and this is how we want. And we don't want you doing these kind of stops, and we don't want you harassing these kind of people. And we tell them what to do. That's how it's supposed to go. So there should be community-based policing, and and it should be appointed by the community base. There should be committees set up, and there should be review boards, and it should all be citizens. Right now, the police investigate themselves. So it's exactly what you say it is, and people don't realize that. They think like, oh well, cops are nice because every TV show is about the cops. If they were real, the people's heads would blow apart if they showed what cops really were like and what they're really doing. Every time they do a study, you find cops planning shit on people all the time and making up fake stuff. And of course, I mean, just look at who's in prison, right? Look at the prison population. It's the structure of the criminal justice system is racist. Now, everybody thought having Barack Obama as president would change that because he was the head of the criminal justice system. And what did he do? He appointed a Tony from Wall Street to run it for him, and nothing changed. Yeah. They didn't prosecute any bakers. They didn't prosecute any, and they didn't move marijuana off the schedule that it was supposed to be moved up. Again, nothing. So we need structural change when it comes to policing. We need to change people's minds about it. Again, there aren't any good cops. There aren't any bad cops. There's a corrupt culture of policing in America that you either succumb to or you leave the profession, and that's coast to coast. So, and the amount of money we spend on policing. Why are cops in charge of pulling people over for traffic violations, right? Shouldn't there be people just to take care of traffic violations? Why do I have to have a guy with a gun if my headlight's out? Fucking come up to my car like that. Why do I have to have a guy with a gun if I made a wrong left turn? Why do I have to have a guy with a gun? So we have parking maids to take care of that stuff. Why don't they? So that's one idea. That's just one idea. But another idea is you don't hire ex-military to be police. Another idea is you have to have police live in the neighborhood they police. Right now, I live in Los Angeles, and all the cops are white, and they live in by Magic Mountain and Canyon Country, and they drive 40 minutes in their city to go police it. And what they become is an occupying force. And what you're supposed to be is, and they see them as the other. And so what they're supposed to be is a member of the community, but they're not. So that's another thing they should do. So there's lots of ways to change the culture of policing. That's 3 or 4 of them would be the police chief asks you how you want to be policed. They don't impose their view of how you want to be policed. So and then also you have to have citizen review boards. So that's the way it should be set up. We shouldn't be dictated to by militarized cops on how they're going to police our cities.
Absolutely. But ultimately, that's what the problem is when it comes to capitalism. I mean, ultimately, the police, they don't obey us because they obey the people who actually are running things as far as the economy is concerned. I mean, you're an expert in this. You know that the top 1% own more than half of all the wealth. So therefore, they're going to go to the people who have all the wealth. So if that's the case, and that's the ones who they're going to obey, they're not going to obey the people. So this is one of the reasons why, people like myself and my co-host Nick, we are so adamant about the defunding and the road to abolition, because therefore the police only solve 2% of all crimes. That means 98% of all crimes is not being solved at all by the police. So what are they there for? It's there because Black people are in their own Palestine. It's really just an open air prison that we call the hood. So this is one of the things that I was very animate about. I just want to get your thoughts on.
Let me just add this, JB. I know you mentioned capitalism, and I just want to propose this question. I'm waiting for someone to answer this. No one has. I dare you to name one time capitalism existed without slavery. Don't worry, I'll wait.
One time what?
One time capitalism has existed without slavery. Because now there was an investigation. Now you guys know there's more modern slavery right now than there was in the 1800s, right? Back to the issue of defund the police. a lot of you guys know I work on 10 demands, and this has been an issue I've been advocating for, and I cover on my channel ever since last summer. And once again, I give you props, Dore, because you're one of the people that was covering George Floyd protests, and you were very adversarial toward the police. It did not evade me that there was a lot of people, a lot of white progressives, a lot of white leftists that was really weak on this issue. A lot of people were saying stuff like, "Oh, you can't say defund the police. That's a bad slogan." For one, guys, that's not a slogan. Defund the police is a policy demand, and that's why it made white America uncomfortable. As JB pointed out, the cops only solved 2% of crimes. So there was a story in the New York Post. Conservatives loved it. Liberals retweeted it as well because they support the fascist police state. Where it was like, oh, the councilman from Atlanta who supports defund the police had his car stolen. He. I'm like, okay, how you run that story like it's an attack on us when you just showed the police didn't stop him from getting his car stolen? So, so you guys making our point, right?
You would think, yeah. So the idea that, so what happens now too is, so they do work for the capitalists. I mean, that's exactly right. Because the capitalists own the politicians, and the politicians hire the police chief, so that's who they're going to work for. Just look what they did at Occupy Wall Street. Look what they do when they go into a homeless encampment. I mean, these are the most vulnerable people. They're supposed to be protecting these people, and this you would think the city, the government, the society would have some kind of moral obligation to protect and take care of the most vulnerable people in our society. Would be the people who are mentally ill, the people who are drug addicts, and the people who are living on the street. You would think you'd have to take care of those people.
No, it's even funnier than that, Jimmy. Sorry, but there's actually a case, and precedent was set by law because there was an officer in the school, because you gotta get the kids used to our fascist police system. So they had a police officer in school, and there was a school shooting, and the police officer ran away, and then they sued. And then in court they said police do not have any legal basis to protect you. Just to back up what you were saying, but go ahead, Jimmy. So they admit it. But go ahead.
So you know what's crazy, and too, it's just propaganda that I hear people ingest and repeat back. Even Barack Obama says this. Police officers' number one job is to make sure he gets home safe. That's not his fucking job. A police officer's job is supposed to be to make sure I get home safe, which is why he's allowed to carry a gun in broad daylight and has a monopoly on violence. He's supposed to risk his life, which is why he's supposed to be able to tell me what to do in the street and order me down and pull a gun on me. He's supposed to risk his life to save mine, not to risk my life to save his, which is how they think now. Even Barack Obama said that stupid shit.
The Democrats, they believe that in their core. In the core. And that's why I kind of explained earlier, to expand on that thought. That's why I said the liberals are so dangerous, because they put Black Lives Matter in their profile, and they parade George Floyd family out and use him as a PR, and then they propose a bill that fund the cops more. So what effectively happened? The liberals in the Democratic Party, they use black exploitation and black suffering in order to build political capital, in order to fund the forces of oppression that's killing us more. That's what they do. So that's why they're more dangerous than the Republican Party and the conservatives. The conservatives are morons. And as I said, and I mentioned how the Republicans are to the left of Joe Biden on the issue of healthcare, but they are to the left of Joe Biden on the issue of criminal justice. The vast majority of them support ending the new Jim Crow. They support ending the prohibition of marijuana. Joe Biden can't even do that basic step. To get that done. And you want me to be assessed over them? It's the Democrat Party that continue to push these horrific policies. They are Go ahead, Jimmy. But they pretty much go ahead.
Have you guys not been smeared as being right wingers?
Oh
yet?
Man,
because that's coming, right? You know that's coming.
Do not get me started.
They're going to say horseshoe theory, and then you're so far left, you're to the right. Why? So has that happened?
Oh man.
Oh, man. I've been bullshitted too many times already.
Yeah. Especially ever since I started Fred Hampton Leftists, I've been blocked by so many liberals, and a lot of liberals I didn't even know. And I want to take this time to get your thought. I still got. I know you had 30 minutes. I appreciate you being patient with me, Jimmy.
No, I feel okay today. I could go a little longer.
Good. I appreciate that, because I still have.
I'm taking ivermectin.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about. So one thing I've been educating people on is that liberals are racist just like Republicans are. So, and I have experience in it. Young black men have experience in this. I mean, I work in customer service, and honestly, when I talk to a redneck, they be like, we know where we stand. They're like, it's cool. But whenever I have that like white liberal, like the average Pete Buttigieg supporter, the average Amy Klobuchar supporter, it's way harder to talk to than MAGA supporters. And when I was canvassing for Bernie Sanders, I was explaining that to people like, yo, I'm flipping a lot of these conservatives, but I go to a house of someone who support Pete Buttigieg, they slam the door in my face. So it's like, so one group is definitely easier to talk to. One group is definitely much more racist. And one thing I've been educating people on, and one thing that's been a shock to their consciousness, is when they see black leftists in their opinions. That's why we don't get platformed that often, because we are inconvenient to the narrative of the Democratic Party and liberal establishment, where their politics are supposed to uplift our community. When I tell them that Joe Biden is the most anti-black public servant in the last 40 years, and I'm going to explain that very soon. They get very uncomfortable. That's why they block me, because they can't have that conversation. And I want to ask you this, Jimmy. You know who blocked me? One of the people that blocked me, even though I never, ever engaged with her? Anna Consparian.
Of course. Of course.
And this is why I stand on blocking, guys. I don't block many people, but if you're just some guy who's like commenting on my page 10, 15 times, I'm going to block you because you're annoying. I don't mind pushbacks, though. I literally never if you look at my history, I never ever commented on Twitter. She just didn't like to see my opinions, and that way you see a lot with white liberals. And then they block. Man, like I said, I can go all day displaying how like this and nothing what you had to deal with. But man, I had to deal with a lot on Twitter. My friends can back me up on that. But with that said, I want to transition to that because since I brought up Anna and like these same like people who they prop up the Democratic Party because they don't really care about like the real policy the Democratic Party do that hurt the black people, because we're the lesser of two evils. This is why I reject that. Black people only 13% of the population, so Joe Biden's anti-black, so not a big deal. Lesser of two evils. That's what they really believe, whether they want to acknowledge it or not. That's why Vosh told me to my face that black people should vote for their oppressors. Can you really believe it? This is what they really believe. So what are your thoughts about like the meltdown that TYT had recently around Aaron Mate and like their like rightward drift? Because TYT is like the origin story of almost like so many of my leftist friends. And there was a point where TYT would like around 2014, 2013 would get around like 20,000 views per live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now they would get like 3,000 now. So it's like that shows like there's many people like me who used to watch them, many of my friends, and now they just dropped it because we see through them now.
So true story. So the reason why I started doing aggressive progressives at the Young Turks was because I couldn't work there anymore when Cenk started doing that loser Donald shit and all that stuff. And so I went to
so cringe.
None of us watched that fucking show anymore. None of the people who I hung around with inside the Young Turks, we couldn't watch the show. Right. And so I go, hey, why don't we start another show? Hang on a second. Okay. And I was like, why don't we start another show and we'll put it on after the main show and it will debunk all the stupid shit that they're saying on the main show, right? Or we'll actually cover the issues of the day instead of doing 55 minutes on Donald Trump out of the every hour, which is what they did, the Young Turks. And that's how bad it was. Like that me and the other people who did aggressive progressively couldn't stand that fucking place, right? I couldn't stand the show. So again, right when the show's supposed to air, Cenk puts it behind a paywall. So that was anyway. So I guess my point is that they lost us. We were their core. They lost us in 2016, right? When they couldn't wait to get on the Hillary Clinton train. Couldn't wait. And now I realize it was because he was trying to get Hillary Clinton donor money. That's what that was all about. He was trying to show everybody, look, I'm a good boy. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm never going to not be a Democrat, and I'm going to push Hillary Clinton. I'll say what I have to say, but when it comes time, you can count on me. And it could. And that's why he got $24 million from right wingers and Clinton donors. And so I don't know how you could watch that show. They literally smeared Julian Assange in 2019 or 20? Like they repeated a bullshit story that Paul Manafort visited Julian Assange inside the Ecuadorian embassy 3 times, and there was never a picture of it. The most surveilled building in the world, there's no picture of him doing that. But the Young Turks repeated that CIA bullshit planted story in the Guardian. We debunked it in real time on the aggressive progressives as they were pushing it, and Cenk Uygur saying Julian Assange has picked a side and he can't be trusted. Do you realize the irony of that? That Cenk Uygur, a guy who could not be a bigger partisan, is saying you can't trust another newsman because they are. And first of all, he didn't. Julian Assange was being persecuted. They were trying to kill him. Donald Trump was literally trying to kill Julian Assange, and Cenk Uygur saying he's siding with him. What a fucking moron. And that, I don't know what that was about to get. So people were, my point is, people were leaving the Young Turks all along. And then when Forced to Vote happened, that was the end for them. Their own audience saw right through what they were doing, that they were just there to prop up the Democratic Party, to run interference. They always claim they want to fight. And when the moment came to fight, they fucking poured water on it and they kneecapped the fight. And their own audience, they did a poll on Forced to Vote, and 85.6% of their own audience was for Forced to Vote. That, if you round up, that's 9 out of 10 of their paying members saw what they were doing. And now that's why no one watches their fucking show anymore. I get twice as many. I get 10,000 live streamers to their 4,000. And they're supposed to have 5 million subscribers. Who fucking believes those numbers?
Hey, JB,
So
JB, I got a lot to add to that, but I'll let you add something, JB. Go ahead.
Don't you? But I just think they're exposed now. Now when they come up after Aaron Mate, they've been for every bombing of Syria, right? When Trump bombed Syria, they called it Nerf bombs. They're very pro-war. They very military-industrial complex. They actually went to a weapons summit. They got paid to go to a weapons summit by NATO, and that's where Anna did that tongue bath to Madeleine Albright.
I think
she's got a problem. She's got a problem with Aaron Mate, who's on the ground in Syria. By the way, Anna Kasparian will never do reporting. She'll never even. She won't even go to a local Dairy Queen. She'll never do reporting ever. She admitted it to me. She goes, when I see you and Jordan Cheriton out there and it's so cold at Standing Rock, I'm never going out there. She said that. They're not journalists. They're smear merchants who are trying to grift. They put out these emails begging people for money. They sent an email out saying, send us money. This is during COVID and when we were trying to get $15 minimum. Send us money and we'll get you your $2,000 check. That was what the Young Turks were saying. That's the grift that they're doing. That's how fucking televangelists they are right now. And so people see through them. Their audience has left them. Their time for them has come and gone. Cenk Uygur on purpose sold out his soul for corporate cash. I was told by a executive at the Young Turks, once they took that money, is we know we have to move to the center now. And they made us all start wearing suit coats and we couldn't swear anymore on air. I was like, wow, what the fuck? What? This is ridiculous. This is you guys are this is the opposite of what you guys were supposed to be. So now it's obvious that they are just MSNBC because you can't even swear anymore on their show. But they can on their members only show, which is when Anna Kasparian told Aaron Mate, as he's reporting on the ground from Syria, fuck you. He's propping up. They're pushing pro-war CIA talking points that Saddam gassed his own people. The OPCW reports got debunked by Aaron Mate, who won an award, the Independent Journalist Award, for his debunking of Russiagate. He won the I.F. Stone Izzy Award. Did the Young Turks ever win an award for journalism? No, they won a Shorty Award for being the biggest dicks on YouTube. They're garbage. And now you saw Roger Waters from the Pink Floyd call them out on. They call them the Young Fucks, and
that's their name now. It's gonna stick.
The Young Fucks position themselves as people who question power. He goes, but they're not. They don't do that at all. They're just there to keep the status quo, and that's exactly what the Young Turks are. And so there's no reason to watch them anymore. And people have figured that out. So they're in a spiral. And so them lashing out at the Gray Zone and Aaron Mate was because they know Aaron Mate and the Gray Zone are on the rise because they're doing actual journalism that pushes back against the pro-war imperialist narrative. The Young Turks are imperialists.
Yes, I think that, and I'll pass it to you, JB. I won't get you in here. But now that you mention it, I think that's what did it. Because I remember I posted a tweet with Anna with Mattering with Albright. I think that's probably why she blocked me. Now I think about it. But go ahead, JB. What you about to say?
One of the things that made me cut them off in my head completely was they talked the talk, but they didn't walk the walk. And what I mean by that is the whole union busting by Cenk Uygur. That was something that to me it was like, wait a minute. You guys are supposed to be progressive, but you're busting unions? And so to me, that was like, wait a minute, no. If you truly are someone who's on the left, if I was a business owner on the left, I would be encouraging my workers to start a union because I want to make sure I'm as fair to them as possible. And another thing that ticked in my head was when Cenk Uygur said, I'm a capitalist. And I remember that because I was just like, you know what?
It's
That's a
like, why am I
sign.
watching then? What's the
Why?
point?
Yeah. Why would somebody like me watch this? And by the way, I never gave money to the Young Turks because I'm poor as shit. So guess what? I didn't, but I definitely stopped watching, and I wouldn't dare recommend them to anybody whatsoever. And that's dangerous for them because then if I'm talking to somebody and somebody says, "Oh yeah, watch the Young Turks," I'll be the first one to say, "Don't watch them anymore." And that's going to hurt them because the thing is, they're not sticking to their values. If they stuck to their values, to the values that they said that they claim that they espouse, then they would be doing number one, a hell of a lot better. Number two, Jimmy Dore would still be there.
Yeah.
And number three, they would have people who look like this more on there that are not espousing the same talking points
That's
that
right.
somebody like a Joy Reid or Zerlina Maxwell as they espouse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So,
go ahead,
so
Jimmy.
they, Breonna Joy Gray was forced to vote, and
Yeah.
she was for challenging Democratic politicians,
Mm-hmm.
and in an obvious way. And then someone called her an Uncle Tom for doing that, and the Young Turks bring him on their show all the time.
Like, how
What?
that's to me, that's beyond the pale, because to me
That's
that's
news to
insane.
me.
That's
Oh yeah.
I know exactly who you guys are referring to there.
Wow.
And
Okay.
this, like, I was always anti-establishment minded. I've known of you for a long time, Jimmy Dore. I watched a lot of different anti-establishment news. So I obviously watch TYT. I stopped watching them, and I picked up aggressive progressives on that. I remember that used to be like the only show I used to watch because I'm like, I don't care about watching this clown show where you just pretend Donald Trump is like the source of all problems. It's like it doesn't do anything for me. Like, it doesn't do anything for me. You got the Democratic Party funding the police more. Meanwhile, you talking about Ben Shapiro every day. What's the guy name? I don't even know. I don't remember Dave Rubin. Like, they do Dave Rubin segment all the time. Like, stop! I don't care about Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin is a clown who only helps us at the end of the day. At the end of the day, they only help us because they make such bad arguments. They're not the one who denied us healthcare. They're not the one who is They're not the one who funding genocides in Israel Palestine. And
That's
now
what
I
I
can talk
said
about
earlier,
that.
right?
We roasted Jank because I've been in the game as a political commentator for about a year now, about a year. And despite me still being new to this game, I could not imagine me having a take as bad as Cenk Uygur had on Israel Palestine.
Oh my
Like,
God.
if I said that, because Jimmy, I told you I got a lot of people that don't like me. If I said the same tweet that Cenk Uygur said, I will be done. It'll be over.
Yeah.
I would have no credibility on the left no more. People would unsubscribe from my show. It'll be done for me. But he get away with it for some reason.
Well, not only that, but I mean, him smearing Julian Assange and now smearing Aaron Mate. Aaron Mate, who's an independent journalist, takes no corporate funding, and who's actually in Syria on the ground right now, debunking a pro-war narrative, and then he smears him as a traitor to our country. Cenk Uygur should be fucking cast out of polite society for that shit. What he's doing is most disgusting. That's worse than anything Sean Hannity ever did. It's worse than anything Alex Jones ever did. It's worse than anything. You're fucking literally smearing journalists, risking their fucking lives to debunk pro-war narratives of bombs that are falling on more brown people, you fucking asshole. But Cenk Uygur's for bombing brown people all the time. He's always been for it. He organized pro-war rallies when he was in college. That's the kind of guy Cenk Uygur is, and you can't get that out of him. You can take the conservative out of the Republican Party, but you can't take the whatever the fuck. I don't know what I'm saying, but you know what I mean.
I know you mean. And it's like, that take it so bad because what you doing is genocide erasing. And it's such I know you've been in this game for 30 years. What, 30 years or so? I've been in the game for 1 year. 1 year, and I know that this is not a race issue. We have a religious issue. We had Richard Medhurst on our show, and he explained in his neighborhood where he grew up in, you had Arab Christians where he is, Arab Jews, Arab Muslims, and they all stand for Palestine. You have Jewish people that stand for Palestine. But so you think Cenk Uygur doesn't know this? This is why I don't watch them. Like, bro, you're purposely misleading people. And you can't convince me that he doesn't know this issue.
Well,
this issue is a colonial issue. And he's running defense for it. By making he's trying to start a race war because that would I'll get you in there, Jimmy, but that what the Zionists want to do. The Zionists always make this about religion because their occupation of Palestine has no legal, intellectual, or moral basis. So the only way they can justify it by making a race war where Jewish people and other people feel like in order to stand solidarity with the Jewish community, they must support Israel. But that's not what it's about. Meanwhile, what it's really about is about colonialism and fighting against imperialism. That's what it's about. It's a legal occupation. And Cenk Uygur is running interference by bringing up this nonsense. Because you can't convince me he don't know this. He's in this game 30 years longer than me. I just started. You tell me I'm smarter than him?
Of course he knows that. And it just goes to show you that he's willing to lie for whatever reason. So I'm sure that was virtue signaling to some kind of fucking donor. Hey, I'm pretending both sides are equal. Can I get some more donor money from a Clinton donor? It's just like he blatantly lied about forced to vote when he said that Kevin McCarthy could become speaker. That's a lie.
Yeah.
There was never a risk of Kevin McCarthy becoming the Speaker of the House if they forced the vote, if they withheld their vote from Nancy Pelosi. There was never a thing. And Cenk Uygur just kept saying that because it'll confuse enough people. And he had explained to him a million times that that's not how it works and you're lying. And he just kept lying. Well, guess what? There's justice in the world, and now nobody watches his fucking show.
And since you mentioned forced to vote a few times, so I'll give my thoughts on that. And I usually have my issues I was focusing on, and my stance was slightly different at the very beginning. My stance was we shouldn't vote for Nancy Pelosi, period.
I agree with that.
But then forced to vote came, and I'm like, well, if you're gonna vote for, at least get something out of it. And I have a tweet from like October, way before forced to vote, where I said, okay, now we got these new squad members, right? We got Jamal Bowman, we got Corey Bush. Now we actually have numbers. So I want to give them benefit of the doubt because I was being critical of them at the time. But I was like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And now when they get the new Congress in and they become the Democratic Party #1 enemy. And I got a tweet where I said that. So people who get mad at me for being critical of Bernie Sanders and squad, you can't get mad at me because I gave them way more benefit of the doubt than most people because I gave them that chance. So what my stance was before forced to vote was if they vote for Nancy Pelosi, they sold out. They should. Nancy Pelosi is one of the most corrupt people in the world, period. And just as the Democrats started fighting as it had an anti-corruption platform. Like we're supposed to be fighting the corruption. So if you vote against Nancy Pelosi, it's a failed project. And then forced to vote happened. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. If you at least vote for it, vote for Nancy Pelosi, at least get something out of it. You know what doesn't make sense to me? It doesn't make sense to people who like super passionately for voting for Nancy Pelosi. Like I honestly was being honest. I was like, I'm gonna hear both crowds out because it was a big thing, right? Anti-forced to vote left, the pro-forced to vote left, and I honestly I'm gonna hear both sides out before I start commenting on it. So I gave them a fair trial, and then I was pro-forced to vote because the anti-forced to vote people was unhinged, and it was literally no intellectual argument because, as you said, it was lying about the Kevin McCarthy thing. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is stupid. We gotta do this forced vote. This is ridiculous. And I was honest, and I gave both sides a chance. So anyone who's against forced to vote, and I wrote an op-ed. Sorry, I'll bring you in here, Jimmy. I wrote an op-ed. Medicare for All is the most pro-black policy platform that's in American discourse right now. And people wonder how I was able to convert people when I traveled for Bernie Sanders. Medicare for All was always my go-to. Because do you guys know that despite us being 13% of the population, we have 35% of the country's medical debt? We have a life expectancy rate that is literally like 5 to 6 years lower than the average white man. That's just because of healthcare. My grandpa died 25 years before Henry Kissinger did because he didn't go to the doctor. So I tell people that Medicare for All is the most pro-black policy platform, and I am very, very supportive of reparations. But you can get capitalists like Tom Steyer to support reparations because they know even if we pay reparations, we can get that money back in medical debt. They know the money is coming to the capitalists. So don't get me wrong, I am supportive of reparations, but we gotta change the whole system with that. And the problem with healthcare is such a giant problem with the black community. That's why I got in this game. So if you are against fighting for that in any means necessary, you are ridiculous to me. That's how I feel. That's my stance. And then people who like super passionate about that, about fighting forced to vote, was ridiculous to me. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And now Corey Bush forced to vote on whether we should give convicted felons the right to vote. And half of the Democratic Party voted against it. So now, and Cori Bush at the time, she said, "Oh, yeah, we forced this vote on this issue, and we had all these people that came out in support of it." She didn't point out that the majority of the Democrat Party voted against it. So what Cori Bush effectively done, she forced a vote on whether we should give convicted felons the right to vote. And now I use that against them. That's the same thing we could do with Medicare for All. Put them on record, get Jim Clyburn on record, and then bash them for it. So that's my stance on that. What's your thought, Jimmy?
Well, when you say, well, I wanted to hear both sides, right? Well, what's interesting is there never was another side to the.
That's fair.
There never was an anti-force to vote on Medicare for all on the left. That didn't exist. Everybody was for forcing a vote. The DSA, it's in their own handbook. We have to force a vote on Medicare for all by any means necessary. This is our goal, force a vote on Medicare for all. AOC said as she was running, we have to get a vote on Medicare for all. Up or down, we have to get a vote. That's ridiculous that we can't. So there was no faction of the left that was against force to vote. What you saw was the pretend faux lefties who then ran cover for the establishment Democrats. For whatever reason, everybody had their own reason. Cenk Uygur had his own reason. Ryan Grimm and The Intercept has their own reason. People with MSNBC contracts have their own reason. Whoever ran interference for the squad, they had their own, but they did it. So that wasn't a real position. So you say, I'm going to hear it out. So you saw Breonna Joy Gray did a debate with someone who was against force to vote with an MSNBC contract, and he didn't have any reason to be against it. There wasn't, except he didn't like Jimmy Dore. Yeah. So this idea that you're going to hear out both sides, when you hear out the other side, there is no side. They say, oh, they even say, oh, this is going to set it back. Could you point to a historical precedence where forcing a vote on an issue set it back? It doesn't exist. That's not a thing. You always force a vote on something, and that's how you gain momentum. People see you fighting for it. Yes. It gets more people aware of it. It gets press coverage. More people come out and advocate for it. More people protest for it. That's what fucking gets the ball rolling. So this idea, well, wasn't Bernie Sanders just going to force a vote on this Palestinian issue? And they knew it was going to fail, but he was going to force it. Well, why the fuck would you do that? I thought that sets it back. So that just goes to show you that's not a thing. Yeah, and all the reasons they had to be against force to vote were just made up. They were all fucking completely papered. They weren't real. And that's what you're talking about when you hear their side.
Sorry, Jimmy. You know why I said that? Because I have a lot of criticisms of the American left. And my name, I used to call myself the progressive martial artist. I had to drop the name progressive because progressives are gutless in the U.S. left. They don't care about police violence. They don't care about ending U.S. imperialism. So what you said is right, because people get mad at me because I call them out as liberals. I'm like, you're not a leftist, you're a liberal, and you just got the roles, and you're part of DSA, but you actually propping up a capitalist warmongering party. So what you're saying is correct, because when you look at the people who actually are leftists, they were like, yeah, we forced the vote, hold politicians accountable. But then you have liberals who always co-opt. That's what they do. They always co-op language. They always co-op movements. So you got a lot of people who used to support Bernie Sanders who are now sycophants to AOC and the squad. People get mad at UAB who defend them, and they call themselves socialists. They call themselves progressives. So I'm not gonna run from that. You know what I mean? So I call them out like, bro, well, I really believe you guys are jokes now, and I am open about my political development, and based on what we go through, and based on what I've been through in my own life, I was strongly supportive of Bernie Sanders. I was strongly supportive of all these people. But if you're not fighting for the issue, if you're supportive of getting the police money more, and you literally helping them get political capital to do that by saying we need to do that for January 6th, when you're not voting to stop them from funding the police more, when Bernie Sanders, you guys realize he supports funding police more. The progressives need to move on from these people. Because compared to where I was last January, and sorry, Jay, I'll get you in here very soon. Where I was last January, I was like a moderate. I didn't think I was. But now there's a lot of people that's on the progressive left where they are behind on a lot of these issues. They are really behind. They don't care about state violence. You mentioned Julian Assange. These same people that always spend their time talking about podcast hosts all day, they never talk about Julian Assange. They not talk about Colombia. Have you ever seen these people talk about Colombia? The people with Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome, the people with Ryan Knight derangement syndrome, the people that only spend their time talking about media personalities. That's what we don't do here. We don't spend our time talking about that stuff because we want to talk about the real issues. So my criticism of TYT is how he got Israel-Palestine wrong, how he get the issue of holding the Democratic Party wrong.
Well, I like how they immediately after Trump was out of office, the shit liberals is what I call them, shit libs. They immediately started to pretend that Tucker Carlson was the problem in America. Tucker Carlson doesn't have any power in America. He doesn't. He's never been elected to anything. He never voted on a bill. And why is it that Tucker Carlson has more anti-war people on his show than MSNBC and CNN combined? That they should be embarrassed about that. So yeah, so I'll just
go ahead, JB. I won't bring you in because I went for a long time. Go ahead, JB.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy. I just want to check up because I appreciate you staying here long. I'm having a great time. How much longer do you have? I just want to be respectful of your time.
I actually have to go, but I can stay up for about 10 more minutes. Is that all right?
Okay. I have one question I want to ask you. And this is obviously being discussion online. I want to get your chance to like kind of explain your mindset and your thought process on this, because when you have the Black Panthers and we have Fred Hampton, they work with the Young Patriots. They was mostly focused on stopping anti-racism and and fighting against white supremacy. So it wasn't. I mostly just want to give you a chance to like explain your mindset, and I'm not sure where I come from. And I actually had a different stance on this than a lot of people do. And a lot of people can get mad at me all they want, but I think I can explain it really well. And I want to make sure I get this in before you leave here. My stand, people got mad at me because I said I am willing to work with anyone if on my terms. They got mad at me for saying that.
I know.
People got mad at you because you interviewed the Boogaloo Boys, and
I just interviewed them.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a fair chance to explain, Jimmy. I'm not trying to get you, but they saying that you shouldn't have platformed someone with such extreme racist ideology. Yeah. And what the Patriots, what there was about fighting white supremacy. Right. Actually, so I'm gonna explain my stance, and I won't have you explain yours, and it's just literally that be that simple. So my stance is, I live in a red state. I have no choice but to talk to conservatives. I'll get your JV's response after Jamie as well. I notice the people who get mad at people who propose we work with conservatives. Look at their location, Jimmy. It's always the same spot. In New York, California, Brooklyn. Like, they always live in deep blue areas. I sold cars in Kansas. I have no choice but to talk to conservative guys. No choice. It's not an option for me to ignore if I actually want change in my community. So one thing I have, and to back up my point, why I wasn't mad at you at the outrage. I just want to address this because I know people want me to ask you this. But the reason why I wasn't mad is because I am a big advocate of direct ballot initiatives. Throughout the course of this conversation, we explain why we don't trust politicians. They're not the squad, Bernie Sanders. They're not going to fight for you. So I think now we need to focus on ballot initiatives. Because in Missouri, we passed medical marijuana. We increased the minimum wage. We got Medicaid expansion because of that. So if you are one of the people who lose your mind at people who propose to work at conservatives, let me propose a very simple scenario for you. Let's say you are working on an initiative to pass a Medicaid expansion bill, which will help my grandma, help the Black community out, save countless lives, right? You need 1,000 signatures. Let's keep the numbers even to keep it simple. You need 1,000 signatures. You got 980. And then a group of Boogaloo Boys said, hey, I will sign your petition. And you get Medicare expansion passed. Are you telling me you would not take their signatures? My position is, if you want not to take their signatures to actually improve people's lives because you're like, oh, I can't work with them, you are deeply unserious. You're a deeply unserious person. Now, with that said, that's what I mean when I say work with them. Because I feel like there's been muddying the waters on this issue. But they say, oh, you want to work with the far-right racists? You want to work with the Boogaloo racists? I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? That's why I give you the political example, because that political example is a real life offline example of what we talking about. Sorry, Jim, I went long, but I'll give you your thoughts here real quick. The whole red, brown alliance thing is an internet contrived nonsense that doesn't exist if you're actually an organizer. I've never seen it. I'm around lefties all my time. I don't know anyone who's like, oh, I can't wait to work with fascists. No, that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So what I'm telling you is I want to work with them to help pass my ballot initiatives. That's it. I'm not pushing no racist agenda. None of that. But with that said, that's what my stance is. I want to give you a chance to clarify if people like Jim Dore advocate working with racists, he don't understand the history of the Black Panthers. This is your chance to clarify that. This is where I stand. Where do you stand on this issue, Jimmy?
So, every person I've met who've criticized me for interviewing Magnus didn't watch the interview. Every single person. No one who ever watched that interview criticized me, because I don't know if you know, during that interview, I said, I'm interviewing this guy. I'm not endorsing this guy. I'm not endorsing the Boogaloo Boys. I'm not doing any of that. I don't know anything about the Boogaloo Boys. I'm interviewing this guy because I saw him give a speech at the state capitol in Michigan, and he was standing there with a Black Lives Matter person and an LGBT activist. And that's why I'm interviewing this guy. And all I'm doing is interviewing this guy. And so people, of course, want to smear me because at that time I was pushing for forced to vote against and exposing the Justice Democrats and and AOC and the squad. And so they again used a smear tactic to make it look like Jimmy Dore's. And the reason why I brought him on was because I didn't know anything about the fucking Boogaloo Boys or the Proud Boys. I thought they were the same. And it turned out the Boogaloo Boys were invented as a counter to the Proud Boys. They're anti-racist. They worked with Black lives. Now, not all of them, but it's been documented that they they provided protection for Black Lives Matter protests. Magnus himself admitted to being gay. He's not gay, to not 100% straight, is what he said. They're anti-cop. They're anti-war. So what I try to tell people is that I've been in several unions. And the way you organize people is you organize them along common interests, and you don't show up on the shop floor and go, "Who here is a Proud Boy? You're out. Who's here is a Boogaloo Boy? You're out.
Yeah.
Who's a libertarian? You're out. Who's a gun nut? You're out. Who voted for Trump? You're out. Who's left? Now we're going to organize against the man." That's not how it works. So when people say, and you hear a lot of people who call themselves socialists say, we have to organize along class lines. Well, what the fuck do you think that means? That means organizing with fucking Trump voters. That's exactly what that means. Class solidarity, not left-right solidarity, class. And that's what they can't get through their fucking head. That's how you organize. And the problem with that guy, Magnus, who's a Boogaloo Boy, is that those are the kind of people who used to vote for Democrats 30 years ago, and they aren't anymore because they've been squashed also by the fucking capitalist machine. Those guys are victims of the capitalist machine, just like if that guy's unemployed. He wasn't getting his COVID relief. That's why everybody's fucking bringing guns to the Capitol, because their livelihoods are being taken away from them. So why don't you engage them? And so what I tell people is, what is your message for that guy? That guy says he's pro-Black Lives Matter. He says he's pro-LGBTQ. He's anti-Trump. He's anti-war. You don't have a message for that guy? That's your fucking failure. And those are people trying to conflate what was that. Everybody, they wanted to make you think half the country's racist, and so we can't work with them. The Republican Party's always been racist. 3 out of the last 4 RNC chair people apologize for the fucking Southern strategy they've been doing my whole life. So this idea that racism just got invented by Trump is fucking crazy. And so they've been working with these motherfuckers. Joe Biden's a racist. The people are in fucking prison because of Joe Biden's racism, not because of Donald Trump. So that's what I say. Nobody who watched that interview with me doing that interview could criticize me, except that fucking jerk off Jerry who claims to be a socialist. And I go, what's your message for a guy like Matt? He goes, I don't have a message for him. I go, well, then you don't know how to fucking organize. That's not how organizing works, and that's why nobody ever heard of that guy. Yeah. I'm just telling. So if you're going to organize, when you go to at Occupy Wall Street, did you go and ask somebody, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you a libertarian? Are you a socialist? Are you a progressive? Are you a boogaloo? You don't fucking do that. That's not how you organize. Exactly. You go, here's our ideas. Here's our fucking goals. Do you share these goals? Do you want to work with us? Let's work. Hey, that's why Bernie Sanders hooks up with fucking right wingers to end the war in Yemen. It doesn't matter if you're for ending the war in Yemen. I'll work with you. Doesn't matter who the fuck you are. Yeah. You think that it was all lefty liberals who went to fight the Nazis in World War II? Who do you think was? There's lots of Southern racists over there fighting fucking Hitler and the Nazis.
Just one thing I I was thinking about. You know, it's accurate that you have to work with people who uh, you may not agree with. A lot of people don't know this, but one of my friends is actually a Boogaloo boy. So I'm gonna put that out there right now. He knows that I am a socialist. He also knows that I am gay, and he loves me like a brother. The thing, though, is that a lot of people seem to think that you're advocating for working with white supremacists.
Yeah, that's not what I'm doing.
Here's the issue. If it was white supremacists, here's the thing: white supremacists don't want to work with us, so therefore it wouldn't happen.
Right.
So therefore, to say that you know you're advocating for socialist policies and things like that, and uniting with people who are black, they're not white supremacists. Now, I do have a small pushback on something you said earlier, when
Okay.
you said that the Black Panthers work with white supremacists. That's not entirely accurate because the thing is that the Young Patriots actually were anti-racist,
Right.
and a lot of the white supremacists that were part of them actually end up leaving when they started
Right.
to work with the Black Panthers. So the Young Patriots were actually anti-racist. So the notion of Black Panthers working with white supremacists, it doesn't really square as
So
far
let
as
me
the
ask you.
history.
Okay, fill me in on this. I was always under the impression
Hmm.
that the Young Patriots were Southern racists, and then when Fred Hampton engaged them, eventually they got rid of their Confederate flag and they got rid of they
Hmm.
shook out the racists of their
Yeah,
organization.
and
So
Yeah,
wasn't there an evolution?
yeah,
yeah,
like
there
JB
was.
said, a lot of them. Sorry, JB, I'll try let you try mine be
Mhm.
really quick. Just like you said, a lot of those people. The reason why Fred Hampton worked with them because they committed to fighting the racists. That's why
Right.
that's why there was a little bit pushback because people say you shouldn't work with people who are still pushing
Hmm.
hardcore racist policy.
Yeah.
The
Hmm.
only thing I would say, and Jamie Dore said this a little bit
Hmm.
earlier, and I'll pass it right back to you, JB, because you
Yeah.
said
Hmm.
Joe Biden's a racist. So you guys
Yeah.
gotta understand that what gives you the automatic assumption that I think you're not racist? So I'm giving all y'all white people the benefit of the doubt. I'm sorry. Like if I see you work for Medicare for all, because I just said I have an op-ed where I wrote in great detail why Medicare for all is
Hmm.
the most pro-black policy, right? Joe
Yeah.
Biden's denying us that. Joe Biden is locking up us in cages. You got people who think that they got the moral high ground over me, like, oh, you gonna support Joe Biden? They got Black Lives Matter in their profile. I'm like, bro, Joe Biden in his first 100 days deported
Right.
more Haitian immigrants than Donald Trump did in his first term. You say you stand for Black lives, you support the Democratic Party. You said I don't. You said the people who don't support Joe Biden doesn't. So my assumption, because I see you support Jim Crow Joe, I'm like, he may be racist. He may not. So I'm not even assuming, like even the white liberals who got mad at you, I don't know if you're racist. So you gotta prove it to me. So if I see
Hmm.
someone who's actually willing to sign that Medicaid ballot, like I told you, I'm like, okay, so he's fighting for health care for my community. Because a big part of Republican reason why they don't support these socialist policies, they support socialism for the rich. When Jeff Bezos and all their Wall Street homies get bailed out, they're not mad.
Hmm.
The reason why they're scared of socialist policy because they don't want it to uplift black lives because they love the
Exactly.
hierarchy. Joe Biden even said he loved the hierarchy, the fact that his kids can go to good schools, but black people can't go to school unless they go into student debt. We carry the most student debt, and that's the system that Joe Biden want to keep. But you want to
That's right.
say you prop up Joe Biden, who want to keep this system that keeps us down. I can talk about this all day, so I'll go to JB here very soon. But you want to prop this guy up who keeps us down with the bankruptcy bill and the crime bill, and them people that think that Donald Trump did more damage to the black community in 4 years than Joe Biden did in 40. Bro, the crime bill and the bankruptcy bill did more damage to the black community
Hmm.
than anyone else. I dare anyone else to find any public servant that passed any legislation
That's
that
right.
will get that done. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene is never
Yeah.
going to get that passed. She's
That's right.
ineffective. Joe Biden is an effective, smooth politician, despite how he plays. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he gets this
Hmm.
stuff passed. But
Hmm.
anyway, JB, I need to stop ranting. And we let you go, Jamie. I want to get JB here, and then we send
Yeah.
you off here soon.
One point I want to make to and anybody that's watching: liberals can be white supremacists too.
Exactly.
I want you guys to think about that. Liberals can be white supremacists too. I want you guys to, and white supremacists can also be black. Because I want you to look at Candace Owens. I want you to look at Kamala Harris. I want you to look at Tim Scott. I want you to look at all these people. There are some black white supremacists out there as well. And so for you to try to say that liberals, they're not really racist, or you try to, square the circle with thinking that, oh, they're just neoliberal, but they're not white supremacists, wrong. Because if it goes against, because a lot of times they will use class divide to attack us, because then they want to use the poor whites as their attack dogs.
Yeah.
So if you're
right.
poor and white, are you sick and tired of being used by the elites?
Yeah.
I hope you are. And we're sick and tired of also being attacked. And so let me say this. If you are for, class solidarity, if you're for defunding the police and the road to abolition, if you are for gun rights, not just for white people, for also for black people as well, if you are for rights regarding, LGBTQ, if you're for, getting rid of these for-profit wars, if you're for, people who are immigrants coming into this country to have the right to be able to seek asylum and things like that, and if you want to work with me, okay, but white supremacists don't want to work with me because they don't like to have any unification on those issues. So I want to say thank you to Jimmy Dore for giving me that clarification, because I was a little nervous about that, and I'm gonna be real with you. I don't watch your show. I don't watch your show.
It's okay.
I'm gonna be real, because the thing is that I just never took the time to do it, and part of it is because there's sometimes people will say things and it kind of gets into your brain, and it's like, well, should I? Shouldn't I? I don't know. And talking to you, you seem like a fairly reasonable guy. I mean, there's going to be things where we disagree on, but for the most part, I think we agree on a lot.
The thing that caught my ear was that I thought the Boogaloo Boys was just like the Proud Boys. And when that guy gave a speech and he said that we have more in common than we have that keeps us apart, and when he said he wasn't racist and he wasn't he was against the war, I was like, wow, well, this seems, I think I need to interview this guy. Is this real? And so I brought him on, and again, I gave the disclaimer that I don't endorse anything. I don't endorse any group. I'm just interviewing this guy.
Okay. I believe you, Jimmy, because, sorry to interrupt you, but let me just say this one thing. Because I talked to my friend CJ, for another co-host on Fred Hampton Leftists. He's like, I didn't even know who they was either. And I once again I got in trouble with that. Like, y'all want to work with anyone I know possible. But one thing I want to add, and we don't know these people. I barely know the Proud Boys, so not everyone is super well researched on all these groups. So that's why I wasn't upset. And some people got mad at me because I wasn't upset. I'm like, I just legitimately don't care. I got way bigger fish to fry than this. The last thing I'm worried about is some comedian saying. And I watch the shows. And I usually know where you stand at. Rome. I know Rome. He's another person in our group, the Fred Hampton Leftists. He actually did a 1 hour and 15-minute live stream where he broke down an interview, because this is when a lot of people were talking about it. And Rome mostly agreed. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I remember watching that live stream. Like, yeah, a lot of people need to watch this, actually.
He broke down my interview?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see it.
Yeah. I don't want to put any words in your mouth, Rome. I'm going on based on what I believe. But he broke it down like, yeah, because Rome's stance is, I work with anyone too. Like, this is our stance. Is like, because if you push in these issues that actually affect the black community, because the people who get upset. Sorry, I'll let you go here, Jimmy. But it's funny because I got a lot of criticism of the progressives. That's why I already don't call them that much, because it's the progressives. The same people who got mad at you for that is apologizing for white progressives, prominent ones, who said the N-word in 2019. While Trump is in office, you got white leftists who are saying the N-word and being openly racist. They said we should colonize Africa. That came from the Discord. But you wagging your finger at Jimmy Dore for talking to a guy he wasn't 100% aware of, which I say is believable. And I'll give you the last word, and you can plug anything you want to plug after this last thought. As a black American, and this is what shocked the liberal consciousness, My friend, we don't know. CJ didn't know who the Boogaloo Boy was because do you think I'm afraid of the Boogaloo Boy or the Proud Boys? I am around a ton of Latinos and Black Americans. Kansas City is one of the highest Black rates, about literally 3 times higher than national average. Surrounded by Black people and Latinos. We never bring up the Boogaloo Boys and the Proud Boys. It's not a thing. We're not discussing it. This is only a small part of the liberal bubble. This is something that people talk about. You know who we are afraid of? The
The
police.
police.
That's
We
right.
driving.
The
Oh, there's a
police.
cop over there. There's a cop. Oh, we worry about the bank is gonna rip us off.
That's right.
I am telling white progressives, get your priorities straight because you don't understand what we are actually worried about. And this is
You're
go ahead, Jimmy. Sorry I went too long.
no, that's what
I'll
I
give you
try to
last
tell
word.
people. That people like Magnus and you have common enemy, and that common enemy is Wall Street. That common enemy is Aetna and Blue Cross. That common enemy is Exxon. That common enemy is Raytheon. You guys have common enemy. Your enemy isn't a fucking another guy who's broke dick living in a fucking trailer. That's not your fucking enemy.
Let me say one more thing, Jimmy, because that's such a good point. Because there was a viral tweet. I apologize. I apologize. But there was a viral tweet on Black Twitter that said, and I agree with it. It went viral at that time. And this is what the Black community has been saying for a while. They said it's not our job to convince white people not to be racist. It's not our job. It's our job to advocate for our community. It's white people's job to convince white people to not be racist. So if you're a white person and you disavow your family member who's racist, you're actually being a coward and you're not helping our community. It's uncomfortable, but what you're supposed to do is have the conversation and drag people to the right. And that, in a nutshell, is why I wasn't mad. Because if I got mad at people talking to the Boogaloo Boys, that would be inherently contradictory, right? Because I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to talk to the Boogaloo Boys. I don't want to talk to anyone who has extreme racist ideology. It's white people's job to do that. So why would I get mad at people talking to them if I have that belief? And that tweet went viral on Black Twitter. So a lot of Black people agree with that. And they want to get upset with you talking to racist. I'm like, didn't we say it's white people's job to convince people not to be racist? I'm not going to do it. But white people should.
You know, what I try to tell people is there's racists in my family. I got a big family, a lot of racists in my family. What am I supposed to do? Stuff. But what you do is you always engage. I mean, I grew up in a racist neighborhood, right? In Chicago. It was all fucking racist and cops. And I remember some people would say to me, some white people would say, you know, Jimmy, I'm not racist, but you know, when those black guys act like that, it just brings it out in me. That's what they would say. They would say shit like that. When they act like that, it brings it out in me, right? And I would go, well, you know what they say, circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him. So if you feel like they're bringing it out, they're revealing who you are. They're revealing that you're, and they don't, because no one wants to think of themselves as being small-minded, petty, or racist. I'm not a racist, just those assholes, right? So I would kind of hold a mirror up to them, like, no, that's actually who you are. And that's who I grew up with, right? That's who everybody I knew for the first 30 years of my life was like that. So you need to, this idea that you shouldn't platform, this idea of the platforming has become a toxic word. I don't believe it. That's all bullshit. I grew up watching Phil Donahue interview the KKK and fucking David Duke, and you don't you just give people more power by pretending. You engage them. Either you engage them to expose them, or you engage them to expose them to your ideas. That's what a lot of people. Because I'm critical of the Democratic Party, a lot of self-described conservatives watch my show, and I've turned them, right? They've like, oh, I didn't think I thought this way, but now I get it. I get what you say about cops. I get what you say about the foreign wars. I get what you said now, and the healthcare for all. And they start to turn. And that's what that used to be this gold standard for lefties. If you could get people over to your side, that's what you're supposed to have a message. You're supposed to have a message for people. And that's what I have. I have a message for people. We have a common enemy. Our common enemy is Wall Street, healthcare, military industrial complex. Your enemy isn't someone else who's a broke dick just like you. Somebody else is driving around in a fucking 15-year-old car. That's not your enemy. Somebody who's broke, who's out of job, who doesn't have work, who doesn't have health care, somebody who's got medical bankruptcy, somebody who's got student debt. Those are not your fucking enemies. We should be, but they want to separate us. And that's exactly how they do it. By you platform the wrong, you talk to the wrong person. You didn't fuck off. I will talk to anybody I want to talk to at any time. I'll talk to any other American at any time. And what bothers them is they can't stop me. I don't have a boss. I don't have a manager that they can complain to. I don't have somebody I'm trying to get a job from. And that's what drives them fucking crazy. So the biggest people who are my biggest critics are shit-lib Joe Biden supporters. That's who fucking come at me. And they pretend that they care about racism as they're voting for the biggest fucking racist who was ever president.
Our enemy is capitalism.
Yep, Jimmy Dore. I appreciate your patience and your willingness to stay on a little bit longer. We appreciate you coming on. And it says a lot because I had this conversation with Sabrina Savage. There is a lot of frustration with very popular leftist white people who are very popular, and they like pull the ladder up, and they don't like they'll bring a popular white leftist talk about black issues. So you coming on and help elevate our voices, it means a lot, and it says a lot to your commitment to black issues. So I do appreciate you coming on. And anyone watching, stay in. I might we to answer some questions in the chat that you guys have. But Jimmy Dore, where can they find you? Last words you have before we send you off.
JimmyDoreComedy.com is my website. I'll see you there.
Thank you, Jimmy. Have a great day,
thank
man.
You guys.
Thank you for coming on.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So this is what we do at the Fred Hampton Leftists, because there's a lot of people who like, oh, you talking to Jimmy Dore? Oh, what the? And they like factional, where they were like, oh, you can't talk to this guy, you can't talk to this guy. I don't want to talk to anyone, because I remember when I announced it, and I love my community. I love our community we have at Fred Hampton Leftists, because when I tweeted that out, I got like 1.7 thousand likes. A lot of people very excited to see this interview, and this is by far the most views we ever got. So obviously there's an interest. And you guys see what I'm about. I just want to have a conversation with people. And then you guys can see what he said, weigh against it, and you can either agree or disagree. We have our disagreements, we have our agreements, but this is what you need to do. Stop canceling culture and people on the left. It makes no sense. What's your thought, JB?
We already have enough cancel culture coming from the big tech industries, as well as, they're trying to go against Antifa. That is also a cancel thing too. I'm going to be honest, I was really nervous at first. The reason why is because of the talk on some people on the left who say, "Oh, he thinks platforming racist and white supremacists is okay." After speaking to him, he doesn't think it's okay. It's just because he wants to platform people who are anti-racist or anti-white supremacists, and some people have a misconstrued view of some people in certain groups. Now, it's just like, for instance, the whole Boogaloo Boy thing. I found out from a Boogaloo Boy who they are. And he said, are there some white supremacists in the group? Yes. But is it the group itself? No. So it's just like saying, well, if you platform white people, then you're going to have a white supremacist. Like, not all white people. It's just like saying, all black people are thugs. No, not all black people are thugs. You're not a thug. I'm not a thug. Whatever. So the thing is that the points were, how do they feel about police? Are they for defunding police and the road to abolition? How do they feel about rights as those of us as black people? How do they feel about those of us as black people to self-determine ourselves and to be able to, when it comes to, having guns? How do they feel about us, those who are gay, lesbian, bi, trans, non-binary, and whatever? How do they feel about these things? And if they are actually in agreement with us, then they are not white supremacists. Because if they actually want to fight with us for these things, they're anti-racist, they're anti-white supremacists by very nature. So that was the biggest thing that I was nervous about, because there's this talk that seemingly thinks that, you have to work with this. And I think this was something that was kind of bubbling up in Twitter, in the Twitterverse, which I think, people who don't really listen to nuance are spreading things.
There's a little dishonesty there too, but I'll get into that by letting you finish.
Well, yeah, of course. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Because I told you guys, Rome watched that video. I didn't watch it because
Mhm.
I watch a lot of Dore videos, but that wasn't. I watch a lot of independent news. That's why I watch Jimmy Dore. People who said don't watch this, don't watch this. You're being a fool because you shouldn't watch cable, you shouldn't watch corporate news. But I watch a lot of different independent news, even news I don't agree with. That's why I'm able to give you guys accurate analysis of what I have problems with the progressive left media because I actually do
Mhm.
watch it. That's the same reason why like I would check out and read the New York Times and Washington Post so I can tell you guys the corporate bias. It's very important to know what people
Yeah.
who you disagree say. So I watch those shows. And Rome did a breakdown of the Blue Boy show. I didn't watch it because I'd rather watch Jimmy Dore when he's doing a breakdown of foreign policy. Like he did a good job debunking the Syrian gas attacks. He did a good job. Like I
Mhm.
said, when George Floyd, he was very adversarial to the police. So those are like the
Mhm.
segments I will watch, and I'll skip some of the few other ones. But one, I didn't watch the Blue Boy interview, but Rome had the same takeaway. He was like, "Bro,
Mhm.
did a lot of people even watch this?" I didn't watch it, so I couldn't get into that dialogue. But there are a lot of people who just bad faith smearing Jeremy. That's why people are like, oh, you gotta have Jimmy Dore. You have to ask about the Google Boys. You have to ask them. And I'm like, yeah, but watch how this conversation goes. It's not gonna go how you think it's gonna go because I see
Mhm.
how a lot of people who they only care about like smearing podcast hosts because that's their way to getting clout. People don't.
Yeah.
I got my clout, the little clout I have, I got through canvassing through Bernie Sanders, and it's just by sharing my
Mhm.
takes. But there are a lot of
Yeah.
people who want to take a shortcut. Their
Yeah.
shortcut, call out
Yeah.
podcast hosts, expose this guy as not being left enough for me, and there's a big culture on Twitter for that. I honestly don't think a lot of these people are dishonest or honest actors, but let's assume all of them are. What does that
Mhm.
mean? Why are you so focused on what podcasters are talking to and who instead of holding politicians accountable? So that's why I didn't get swooped up in this conversation. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people that were like, "Oh, you sympathetic to supporting Bulu Boys," because there was a big, well, I think not honest movement where people were trying to divide the left, where they were trying to smear people as fascist sympathizers. That's why I was making the point. Like, I wasn't saying the Red Brown Alliance isn't a thing historically. I was saying it's not a thing in the American left. It's not a thing. It's literally a DNC op that they made up to divide the left, where it's like almost McCarthyism. Oh,
Mhm.
he's a Soviet. That's what they used to do. Now
Mhm.
on the left, they introduce that same thing. We're like, oh, do you like fascists? You like fascists. It's like a witch hunt. And I
Mhm.
noticed this. So I unfollowed and I cut off a lot of people I saw who are into this nonsense drama. And that's what it
Mhm.
is. It's nonsense drama. And I
Mhm.
saw a lot of people that are taking them out of context. That's why when a
Mhm.
lot of people say, oh, you should talk to Jimmy Dore, can you believe in Boogaloo Boys? I'm like, go ahead and watch. Because I'm going to ask him about it. I'm not scared to ask him about it. That's why I said, yo, I'm
Yeah.
going to let you explain. I'm going to explain my position and why I was and why a lot of people got
Mhm.
mad at me. A lot of
Yeah.
people was in bad. This is why I know they was attacking Jimmy in bad faith because they attacked me in bad faith, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I said during this whole dialogue, I didn't even mention the word Boo Boy. I didn't
Mhm.
even say that because I didn't know who they
Mhm.
was. I said
Mhm.
I was like I don't know what's wrong. I was like I don't know why people mad at Jamie and them. I'm like I want to work with anyone who's willing to like pass Medicare for all. And people were like Red Brown Lions. He's a fascist sympathizer. Like people was mad. I'm like dude, fuck you. Like you guys are clowns. Like and like Jimmy said, you guys not really the left that I consider my allies because you guys are dishonest smear merchants. What
Mhm.
I'd rather
Yeah.
do on my show is bring Jimmy Dore on and have him explain himself and talk.
Mhm.
But you guys want to cancel culture, and you guys think you're honest actors. So
Mhm.
I will talk to Jimmy Dore. I will talk to anyone I want to, and I want to be very clear about that because I'm not into the cancel culture left. I didn't get into Twitter until 2018, and that's the only reason I got into Twitter because when I was canvassing for Bernie Sanders. So I'm not used to
Yeah.
this cancel culture like that you guys do. I find it
Mhm.
very weird, and I'm not. Don't get me involved in it. If you don't like it, that's cool. But I cut out a lot of people who have like Ryan Knight derangement syndrome, that had Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome. Because I admit I have Joe Biden derangement syndrome. I
Mhm.
have Nancy Pelosi derangement syndrome. I have capitalism derangement syndrome. And I'm proud because these things are actually harming our community, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can criticize these people who have bad ideas, but to a point where
Mhm.
you have a derangement where you're tweeting about it all the time, you're making videos about it all the time. Every minute you spend talking about these like podcast hosts who are not doing anything to my community, it's time you're not advocating for policy that actually matters. That's the
And
thing.
I want to say this. If you disagree with a particular person about a particular point, argue the point.
Exactly.
Argue against the point that they're making. So, for instance, if Jimmy Dore was pro force to vote, then you put out a succinct argument about force to vote, and you don't need to mention his name at all.
Like why?
Don't even mention him. Here's the thing, and I want to say this when Jimmy was here, but I'm going to say this right here because I want this to still be on the record. Back before the back by the late last year when we were finishing up the election, Donald J. Trump put out a tweet about giving everyone $2,000. Now, because it came from Donald Trump, if all the Democrats started saying, no, it's a bad idea, we shouldn't give people $2,000 because it came from Trump, would that be smart? They actually agreed with Trump, and everybody, and I didn't hear a peep from anyone on the left about it, for anybody agreeing with Trump that we should give $2,000. Because let's be real, that was actually a good idea. Yes, $2,000. Okay, Donald, go ahead. You can put your names on the checks. We don't care, because guess what? It's something that was actually that was right. A broken clock can be right twice a day. So my thing is that if you disagree with Jimmy Dore on anything, argue the actual policy or the strategy. Because just smearing somebody, that takes away from your argument. Argue against the idea. And so this is one of the reasons why you and I were talking about it earlier about, when some of these people who are Twitter famous or some of these podcasters and people want to talk shit about them, I don't talk about them. I don't care, because for you and me, I know this for sure. Our main enemy is capitalism. That's our main enemy, because that's the system. Yeah, because capitalism is the thing that's been hurting us. A tweet from Jimmy Dore doesn't hurt me.
Like nothing. Like if you guys got Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome, let me ask you this: what did Jimmy Dore do that hurt my community?
Mm-hmm.
Has he done anything substantively that hurt my community? You know who has done something that substantively hurt my community? Joe Biden. And now that we have a little bit more time, I don't know how long you got, JB, but I'm just rolling. Like you can bounce whenever you get tired. But I'm about to play some questions and I'm just about to rant a little bit.
No, I'm good.
Joe Biden, I said earlier, Joe Biden is the most anti-black public servant in American history. And I'm not lying. And I'm daring people to debunk me on that. Yes, we had extremely racist people in the Senate. Let me tell you guys, it's just not like a few examples, not just Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's racist. She's an anti-Semite, but she is one of many. Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein is racist. You can't convince me that the entire Republican Party is not racist. They support bombing brown people. That's what they support. Joe Biden implemented the crime bill that locked up our people, blew up in the incarceration rate. But I'm not going to talk about the crime bill. You guys know why? Because everyone knows about it. You want to know what people don't know about? That I think it's on drink.
I think I know where you're going for this.
Yeah, they didn't talk about the bankruptcy bill. A lot of white progressive shows didn't talk about the bankruptcy bill because they didn't know how it affect people's lives. So I hope you guys understand that racial income inequality right now is worse than it was at the height of the civil rights movement. Why is that? That's one of the stats that blow people's minds, right? How is that? You had the crime bill, and this is why we are advocates of police abolition. Because through civil asset forfeiture that steals more money than the working class, than criminal burglary, between that, regressive fines and fees like cops who pull people over and they have broken window policing, so they aim for black people. Civil asset forfeiture affects black people at around a 60% to 70% rate. So that's a way they funnel money from the black community to the white community. That's why. Joe Biden is responsible for that. Kamala Harris is supportive of criminal asset forfeiture, by the way. So now let's talk about the bankruptcy bill, because that's just one way we lost our wealth. The bankruptcy bill, Joe Biden voted an amendment that will make it easier to reduce your medical debt. Joe Biden he created the student loan debt crisis. He fought the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and he voted against amendments that will make it harder for those who committed financial fraud. That's what he did in the bankruptcy bill and the amendments that came after that. And you guys want to know a personal story that you're not going to hear from white leftists? I used to sell cars, so I was really in the know about this. Really in the know about this. When I was selling the cars, I was working with Toyota Financial, and then we had to go through sensitivity training because they got hit with a lawsuit that the Consumer Financial Protection Agency, the agency that Joe Biden opposed, sued many financial institutions, and they found that if you had a black man like me, because this is a real story, I got my first car loan when I was 18 years old, had my mom co-sign for me. But if you had a white person in that same situation, they got charged a lower interest rate, and it was proven in the court of law to the point where Toyota Financial and many other financial institutions had to pay the people like me money. I got a $1,000 check in the mail because they was calculating the interest charged more than the white customers. That's $1,000. And because I'm in the know in the car industry, because I sold cars at the time, that was negotiated down. So this is the real struggle I'm talking about, because I was just like JB when I was 8. I'm still broke now. 18 to 24, I was broke as hell. I made more money selling cars than I did any other job. They still ripped me off. That's why I quit. But I made more money doing that. But I was broke as a student, as a struggling fighter, as someone who's trying to work part time. Do you guys understand how much that would have meant to me to have that one extra, at least $1,000 that the financial institutions that Joe Biden propped up charged me? So it's easy to talk about theory on why things are bad. But if you want to say that Joe Biden is the lesser of two evils, when he's responsible, he played a large part of my poverty, when he played a large part of black people's poverty, I lived this life. I'm not this rich boy in Beverly Hills that streams that tell black people to vote for their oppressors. I know people that struggle. I know people that are homeless. We take people in our house all the time because they go homeless. They can't afford rent. And this is neoliberalism. This is what they install. So you want to ask me why I don't like the Democratic Party? Now, I want to make this clear because I'm taking advantage of the fact that we got a little extra viewers here. Because a lot of people that like to straw man my position, my tweets. I am a victim of the crime bill and bankruptcy Joe Biden.
Yep.
Just like many black leftists. That's why we didn't vote for him.
Yeah.
And Joe well, sorry, JB, I'll give you right after this.
Okay.
I focus on that instead of Jimmy Dore. You guys notice that those white people that focus on Jimmy Dore never talk about the issue I just brought up. When have you seen these people that focus on Ryan Knight and Jimmy Dore and these podcasters? When have you seen them bring up the bankruptcy bill and how that affected black lives? That's why I don't take them seriously. Go ahead, JB.
Yeah. Think about this. You would agree that, Joe Biden was actually to the right of Ronald Reagan, correct?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he literally was pushing Reagan on the right on criminal justice. And he helped them deregulate Wall Street. Even Ronald Reagan couldn't do what Bill Clinton did in the 90s. But go ahead.
So here's the funny thing. That being said, remember the crack epidemic in the 80s? Who was selling crack in our neighborhoods and supplying our neighborhoods with crack, right? And then guess what? Found out that the crack was being sold by the CIA. And they actually said this. They actually told the truth about this. The CIA sold crack to our neighborhoods, and then the money that they made off of us, they used to fund imperialist wars. So all that shit that happened, somebody, the whole running joke that, oh man, a black man, he doesn't have his daddy in his life and all that shit. You got to blame people like Joe Biden, Ronald Reagan, and all these other motherfuckers who decided that they thought imperialism was worth more than helping black people. So the whole issue is capitalism. That's the enemy. Because the thing is that you guys can talk shit about whoever you want, but tackling them won't do a damn thing about capitalism. The thing is mutual aid, general strike, and trying to do the best you can to make sure that these oligarchs and oppressors feel the pain so that we can get ourselves on a better footing so that we can have a better life, because damn it, we're human beings and we deserve it.
That is well said, man. And that is exactly what I want to clarify. And I'm glad that I see some discussion in the bankruptcy bill. Let's take some questions. I'm glad that we got you guys are enjoying. I didn't even get Jamie Dore. I give him mad props because he told me he only got 30 minutes. He been going through a lot of health issues recently, but he stayed with us for like an hour 15 minutes. I apologize if I kept a little longer than I intended, but he was vibing with us. It was a good time, so I really appreciate him for doing that. But one thing I didn't even get a chance to ask him was like how they throttle independent media, because Jimmy Dore talk about that all the time. Like these giant channels, like Jimmy Dore on his live stream, he will get more views in 5 minutes on his live stream than we get for an entire month. You know, I know you don't watch the show, JB, but he will have like 15,000 people watching his stream, and they've been suppressing independent news. They've been suppressing Cal Kalinske. So I'm telling you guys, can you imagine? Can you imagine what they're doing to our channel? I look at it, I look at the analytics. I'm lucky that I have the following I have on Twitter. If it wasn't for my 50,000 followers on Twitter, because like 90% of our views, and then what the analytics showed me, becomes when I tweet the videos out. That's why I tweet the links out all the time, and I live tweet my live streams, because that's the only way they see us. If you think it's bad for the people that complain about it the loudest, that got the platform, imagine how it is when you first starting out and it throttling you. Yeah. That's why I'm asking you guys to please support. Please hit subscribe. Cause I know we got some viewers that watch because Jimmy Dore. So if you're enjoying this conversation, please follow us. YouTube, we are monetized, but we got to set that up. But I am monetized on YouTube. But let me tell you guys, that you got to support the Patreon, because monetization on YouTube don't mean shit. Because the first video I released on my YouTube page, this is my first YouTube video post YouTube monetization. I was very excited about it. I released a video that said why police are one. I'm trying to think of it. Why police are one of the biggest enablers of white supremacy, something like that. So I'm attacking white supremacy from the left, and they demonetized my video. When that happened, I'm like, okay, I'm done. That's when I went to Twitch. I went back to Twitch. I'm like, yo, YouTube gonna demonetize that. I'm not gonna censor myself. I'm not gonna do what TYT did. I'm still gonna call the police staff. I'm still call Joe Biden racist. I'm still gonna call white supremacy, and they demonetize my video. Fuck it. I'm not in this for money. I shared it before, and I'm gonna do another shameless plug here, because I'm in here to help our community, and that's what Rome is doing. So when you support our show, you supporting the grassroots activism that our friend Rome is doing. This is what you support by supporting our stream, right? I'm gonna share this one more time, because I know we got probably a lot more viewers than we did in the very beginning. But this is what we're about right now. Fred Hampton Leftists. We are a podcast and we're a network, but we want to we literally aspire to be like Fred Hampton, right? So we really want to put in work on our community, and this is going to be a YouTube channel unlike anyone has ever seen, because not only are we going to be doing these podcasts, we actually gonna be in the streets talking to people. Right now it's COVID, so we can't really do that. It's really tough. But I plan on being in the streets the same way I canvas for people. That's why you guys need to support the channel. But more than anything, I'm not in this game for money. I never care about money. I've been broke, and I sacrificed a lot of money for this.
This ain't new.
So
this ain't new.
I made more money selling cars than what I'm doing now. This is what Rome is doing. Like you guys know, my brother Rome, he has hashtag Tour for the Poor. Support our Patreon, but also donate to Rome if you can, because he actually helping people, feeding people. This is a giveaway for children. This particular one he's doing today. That's why he wasn't able to come on today, because usually Saturday Rome upload, but we had this interview with Jimmy. And it was perfect, because he either do this fundraiser, and I want you guys to support him. And I hope you guys do this, because it's not only the podcast when you support us, it's this. And I see some people that had comments right now asking about super chats, asking about Venmo, PayPal. We just launched last month. We have very
back
new
in
channel,
April,
so we still got a lot of things we got to handle on the business side. But for now, the best you can do is support us individually. Support our Patreon. JB has a GoFundMe. I'll let you explain what's going on, but this is how you support us. We're not in here we're not in this game to get rich. If we had just enough money where we can do this full time, we would be helping our community. We'd be doing stuff that Rome is doing. Patreon for Hampton Leftists, because we don't have a super chat set up. YouTube is a pain ass to deal with. We don't got super chats, all that. But if you want to help, Patreon for Hampton Leftists is where you gotta go. We're gonna take some questions. I want you guys to leave some questions. But before we do that, and I'm gonna give you guys some time to leave questions, JB, explain what was going on in your situation. Cause I want to take this time to talk about your GoFundMe because you go through a lot of health problems. Are you okay with that? I don't put you on the spot.
um, yeah, it's just I am the type of person that I hate asking people for help. That's why I just have it as a pinned tweet, and once in a while I'll tweet something that I think is inspirational, and I'll add it in there. The reason why is because I want to offer something. I don't have a lot to offer, unfortunately, but I don't like asking for help, and uh, it's not a pride thing. It's that there's too many people out there that are going without that are suffering. And one thing that I notice is that the people who are most willing to give are the people who have the least. And I don't really want it to come from them because I don't want them to put themselves in a worse situation than they're already in because I know exactly what it's like. And so this is one of the reasons why I never talk about it on any of the streams. Because if they find it, they find it. If not, then that's okay too. But even just words of encouragement are always welcome because those are the things that help keep me going. The primary reason for it is because, and I'm one of the biggest advocates for expanding Social Security because Social Security just does not is not sufficient for anyone in this country whatsoever. That income is terrible. Um, and being somebody that's on kidney dialysis is very difficult to, especially during the pandemic, very difficult to try to work because then that means you have to put yourself in harm's way to get a uh, job. As as somebody that's immunocompromised, is not the best thing for me to do. And if I get an infection, I'm in the hospital. I've had it happen to me a few times before, and I'll be in a hospital 5 days plus. Um, and so I do have Medicare, but also Medicare only covers 80%. It doesn't cover the other 20. So if you're charged like $100,000, in medical bills, 20,000 of it is not covered. So it's that, plus um, you have uh it's hard to live. Um so and like Nick said, we don't get paid uh for doing Fred Hampton Leftist. This is basically all, what we're doing is basically for free. This is one of the reasons why we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Fred Hampton Leftists. And so, this is one of the things that, we're using this so that we can do an education campaign. And it's primarily to show people what they deserve and that they should be fighting for it. And housing should be all right, healthcare should be all right, food should be all right, clean water, clean air, not having to worry about, police officers wanting to shoot you just because of the color of your skin or the class in which or the zip code you live in or the class that you are. That shouldn't be. And so therefore the education campaign that we're doing is to help people realize that they can have so much more and they should have so much more, because it's not something that people, it's not you living high off the hog or anything like that. It's just you having the dignity of a human being. And so, I appreciate you, Nick, bringing this up. But one of the things I want to do is talk about, if you know someone that's going through something like, for instance, if they're living in a hotel or motel, or if you order something from, let's say like a DoorDash or something like that, help them out. Your people who are delivering on Uber or DoorDash, tip them a little extra. Try to push as much mutual aid to people who are going through stuff. It doesn't have to be somebody like me, because I do have people who do help and I do appreciate it. But focus your attention on those who are definitely working class. And if you can give them a little extra, try to give them a little extra because we're all in this together. Because the capitalists, they're not going to do it. You have to, it has to be from the people, from the ground up.
Yeah, that's well said. And as you guys saw, you didn't see it because I didn't screen share it, but I was just showing the tweets for the your GoFundMe and PayPal if you guys want help. Once again, we all know everyone going through tough times, so any help we just appreciate because
Yeah.
a lot of people think my politics is just all doom and gloom, and I guess it is. I guess sometimes because we really live in a fucked up
Yeah.
society,
Yeah.
but when I say we shouldn't rely on politicians, I really believe that. Why should we
Mhm.
rely on politicians to save us? AOC and Bernie Sanders are not going to save us. They don't give a fuck. They are apologizing for Joe Biden, even though he's not giving us health care, not giving us living wage, not canceling student loan debt. They just want to
Mhm.
protect their positions. So sorry,
Yeah.
but I know it's hard to pill to swallow. I quit my job to canvass for Bernie Sanders. So trust me, it's a really hard job for me to swallow this pill. But they're not here to save us. Only we can
Mhm.
save ourselves. And I'm saying this because I love what you say about tipping delivery drivers,
Mhm.
and because I advocate for living as an anti-capitalist. Why are you
Mhm.
guys conforming to the U.S. capitalist system? We don't have to. Like you,
Mhm.
what I mean by that is
Mhm.
that you treat your neighbors in a nice way. You treat customer service like I treat customer
Yeah.
service workers like family, man. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
when I see people treat customer service workers like trash, there's nothing that drives me crazier than that. Like
Mhm.
that, like I literally
Oh
got
yeah.
into heated public arguments because of people treating customer service workers. I'll probably get into the long story eventually, but I have an interesting story about that. What happened last year?
Yeah.
But I'll share a story later. But I got into
Mhm.
heated arguments with people when I see them treat customer service workers wrong.
Yeah.
Because if you are treating customer service workers wrong, you don't have class solidarity. You don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am, and people think I'm this bomb thrower on the Twitter. And people think I'm like, oh, you just some guy who like talking shit. Yeah, on Twitter because I'm talking about politicians. But when I'm talking to
Mhm.
ordinary people,
Yeah.
even right wingers I disagree with who's like working a hard job, who live in the struggle. I understand that struggle because I'm anti-capitalist.
Mhm.
I get it. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna go. I'm not gonna go hard on you if you mess my
Yeah.
order up. Cause people mess my order up, I'm like, bruh, it's cool, whatever.
It happens,
Kind of
man.
annoying, but it's cool, bro.
Yeah.
What pisses me off is people, they treat customer service workers worse than they treat politicians. They have higher expectations for customer service workers than they have politicians. They will yell at the customer
Mhm.
service worker for having the audacity of getting the order wrong. But Joe Biden will bomb a country. And they're like, oh, but he only get to have no choice. So you make 1,000 excuses
Mhm.
for the war criminal politician, but you don't get that benefit of doubt for the customer service workers.
Yeah.
Very interesting. If you're a socialist and you do that, if you think you're anti-capitalist, you're not. If you think you
Mhm.
got worker solidarity, you don't. It's just that
Mhm.
real. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you in here, JB, but I don't like when I moved to the left and when I became socialist, I became a better person because I don't like
Yeah.
art. I am not confrontational as you guys think I am on Twitter. I don't like my thing is, and I tell it to people I know this all the time in real life. I don't want to argue with you if you're my family. Like I don't argue with my brothers, I don't argue with my sisters, my mom. I don't want to do it because like, bro, we are a family. We are in it together. My enemy is the police. My enemy is
Mhm.
white supremacists. My enemy is Zionists. My enemy are people who work and apologize for ICE. The people
Mhm.
who fund NYPD more. The people who are responsible for state violence. People who was complicit with cracking heads of indigenous people in Standing Rock. Like these are the people I hate. I don't hate you. So I treat everyone I can with respect, and I don't tolerate when people don't treat me with respect. I'll just cut you off because if I see you treating like ordinary people, customer service workers, your comrades, if you
Mhm.
treating them with disrespect, you don't not really stand with solidarity with people,
Mhm.
and that's my mindset. That's why there's a lot of people like, oh, why do you don't follow me? Why you don't follow me no more? If I see you part of that lynch mob that like
Mhm.
attacks other lefties, I'm gonna follow you because you don't have the solidarity you think you do. Because
Mhm.
you want unity, but I don't like unity. Fuck unity. Fuck
Mhm.
unity. Give me solidarity. So what you do is you don't give us solidarity. You don't stand with our community. You demand unity.
Mhm.
That's the problem with unity. Fuck unity. Give us solidarity. What's your thought,
Mhm.
JB? Let's find some
Yeah.
comments too.
Yeah.
There's gonna
So
be a
one
long
of
stream today. I'm having fun.
and so anybody that knows who has ever worked in retail, you know the bullshit that we go through, that we did go through. Um, so I used to work in a department store.
So what you do is
I've been insulted. I have my life threatened, and at work. And so, and a lot of times from people who feel entitled, whenever, you know, I tell them something that they don't like, and so they come after me. It's the same thing when I used to work. I used to be a furniture salesperson, right? And even then,
sorry,
I would
I just
have
had to
people.
fix stream. Sorry, JB. I'm gonna just take a quick restroom break, but hold it for just a quick second.
Okay, okay. But one of the things that I used to have to deal with was just the way people would treat me, you know, as a salesperson. When, to be honest with you, I hated having to approach people, but I had to do it because, well, that was my job. And so the way, people treat you is something that it really has an impact on you. And so for me, coming to the left was so interesting because then I started to see workers in a more different light. I started to see them as people who were I was more tied with. Um, Not too long ago, I was at a theme park, and for some reason, I felt the urge to look at all the workers who I've encountered to thank you very much, or I hope you have a great day, and saying things like that because it may not mean much to a lot of people, but sometimes those things do matter. One of my one of my one of my mottos, this is the biggest motto that I have, and I've tweeted it out before, but I'll say it on here. My motto is leave the world better than you found it. That means how you treat other human beings. And as also, it could be animals or plants, but how you treat others can affect the world around them as well as the world as a whole. And so this is one of the things that I think that we on the left need to not only uh, continue, but we need to ramp up. And one of the things that I wanted to also speak on was that if you are a real leftist, the policies that you actually want to promote, you're not just doing it for your fellow leftists, you're also doing it for the right wingers. You're doing it for the people who you don't agree with because you want them to have health care. You want them to have clean air and water. You want them to have housing. You want them to not have to die because of the color of their skin or the class that they are. You don't want that for them because here's the thing, that's what solidarity means. And unfortunately, a lot of times we can be very tribalistic even here on the left because then we'll see people and see them as the other. Our our priority should be to be the example so that when they look at us, they see us as, damn, these guys are awesome. They're on point. I should be more like them. And even if they don't, at least we know that we treated them better than they treated us. And because of the way we are pushing things, especially as far as the way our country works, that will ultimately be a net positive for everyone else because we want things like white supremacy, capitalism, and imperialism. We want those things to be looked down upon in society. Unfortunately, we live in a society where they're being looked up at. So we need to change that narrative. And by just how we treat one another when we're out and about and being kind to one another, but being ruthless towards institutions, like Michael Brooks said, that's how we change it.
Well said, JB. Well
Yeah.
said, man. Like this point, we having some fun. Like I love all you guys for watching. Thank you guys. Let's get to
Hmm.
some questions.
Hmm.
I had it written down. I apologize because the comments are I missed who said it, but I remember it. I'll get your thought, JB, on this first, and I answer. Keep the comments going because at this point, I'm kind of I'm having fun. So I'm willing to ask. This you got a chance to ask me questions, put me on the spot, whatever. First question was, how do we feel about Kyle Kalinske in Secular Talk? Are you familiar with him? If you are, what's your thought, JB?
I'm very familiar with Kyle Kalinske. Actually, he was probably one of the first leftists I've ever encountered when I first heard the words Medicare for all. So that just like turned me on my head. I was like, what in the world? Um, Kyle Kalinske used to be to my left. Then I became, right in step with Kyle Kalinske. Now Kyle Kalinski's to my right. And that's how it worked. So as far as Kyle's concerned, I agree with him on a lot of issues. The only thing that I would say that I don't know if he is, I know he thinks the phrasing of defund the police doesn't work, but I don't know if he disagrees
Did he
with
really
it
say
as a
that? That's
principle.
crazy.
Yeah,
I know Crystal Ball
yeah.
said that, and I covered it on my show. But
Mm-hmm.
damn, Kyle, damn.
Yeah.
I didn't
No,
even.
but
I thought he was
no,
better than that.
no. I want to be fair. I don't know if he disagrees with it as a principle, but as far as the semantics of defund the police, he's, according to him, he said the data is just it shows that people don't support it.
Who
I'm sure that
cares?
you have. I know, yeah.
Like I
Because
covered this a lot, but you gotta know how I feel about that. We knew that like most people didn't support the bus sit-ins. That
yeah,
doesn't mean he doesn't support it. And now,
yeah.
based on my covering, I don't know why Cal haven't been covering this. I don't know if
Mhm,
he don't want to be like wrong. But defund the
mhm,
police is supported by over 55% independents. We went
yeah,
plus 30 on the issue of defund the police. And as I was saying, Jimmy Dore, it doesn't miss me that a lot of white progressives didn't fight for this issue that much. Doesn't so they
yeah,
didn't prioritize this
yeah.
issue, and that doesn't miss that's something that didn't miss me. That's why you guys support black leftists. I've been covering this phenomenon from day one, and I'll let you finish here,
Mhm,
JB. I just want to bring this one point to back up what you're saying because
mhm,
538 did a poll during the height of the George Floyd protest, and the
mhm,
liberal media establishment ran with it. They loved
mhm,
it because it said
mhm,
defund the police, deeply underwater. It
mhm,
was like minus 36 among all the population. There was only
mhm,
two groups that supported defund the police. That
mhm,
were Democrats and black people. The
mhm,
Democrat Party number was so high because Democrats is being propped up by black people, Latino, and indigenous people. But if you
mhm,
look at the numbers, the reason why the numbers was dragged down, and this always was the case. The reason why the numbers was dragged down because white America, including white liberals and white progressives, whether they want to come out for it or not, harshly denied it. I mean, if you break it down by race and by
mhm,
class too, but if you break
mhm,
it down by race, it was pathetic. I can pull the article so I can have the exact number, but it was only like
mhm,
15% of white people support it. So if 15% of white people support it, that means there's a ton of liberals who got Black Lives Matter in their profile who don't support the answer that we're protesting for.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
what does that tell you? That tells you that they, despite the rhetoric, they don't really stand with us in solidarity. That's what
Mhm.
that tells me. But I'll let you finish your point, JP.
Yeah. So I don't know how he feels about the principle itself. Um, and so I have a feeling he would be to my right on the issue because he's uh I don't know if he's a social democrat or a democratic
He
socialist,
said he's a
but
social democrat.
yeah, okay, so
So I
therefore,
think he's post-capitalist, but he still implement capitalist like policy and philosophies. I think that's what.
yeah,
I don't want to
and
misrepresent him. Leave a comment if I got
yeah,
that
of
wrong.
course, yeah. I mean,
But
and
I watched
so
some of his videos, so I heard him say that.
yeah, so I think he's to the right of me on that aspect. Um, I am for complete legalization of all drugs. I think they should be legalized. I think you should be able to go into a
Kyle supports
CVS,
that.
huh? Yeah,
Kyle
I just
supports
think
that. I just
yeah,
want to let you know.
yeah, I know, and I think you should be able to go into a CVS, and if you're over the age of 21, then there should be drugs, in the aisles, and they're under lock, so they have to check your ID to make sure you're 21. And if you're 21, okay, you want some shrooms, okay, you want, uh, you know, I don't know, some type of methamphetamine, something like that, whatever. You should be able to, because the thing is that that's the I guess the libertarian, so quote unquote, part of me. But um, you know, as far as and I'm also to the left of Kyle on. Well, am I? I don't know if I'm to the left on him, but I would actually want an NHS style healthcare system where it's basically community ran hospitals, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, everything's ran by the community, or complete nationalization. So I mean, as far as having Kyle Kalinske, I would like to actually have a discussion with him on the show. Kyle, if you get a chance to see this, I would love for you to come on the live show with me on Sundays. Or if you want to, come on with Nick and I can join in, that'd be great. Um, but yeah, so I, I I think that he's an honest actor, and so I, don't think anything. I don't think he's precarious about anything, or that's not even the word. There's no ambiguity with what he believes. He tells it like it is, which is what I appreciate. That's the type of person that I am, and that's the type of family that I come from. Uh, I think that the only disagreements I have with him are disagreements with uh, pretty much the probably the defund the police and the road to abolition. Um, and I would like to get a little bit more clarification from him personally, because I don't want to state his principles or his stand, for him, because I don't think that'd be fair.
Yeah, yeah, and I answered the question. The question originally was like how we feel about Kyle Kalinske.
I mean, I
I
like him.
I
He's cool.
like. I told you guys I don't watch corporate news. I don't get my news from that. I watch a lot of
Hmm.
different sources, and Kyle Kalinske is definitely one that I watch the most probably.
Hmm.
Um, he does a good job breaking down foreign policy. He did a
Hmm.
good job on taxes and
Hmm.
like white collar crime and institutional corruption.
Yeah.
He acknowledges this too. I heard him acknowledges that the reason why he don't talk about black issues that much because he's a white guy. He's not that good on it.
Yeah.
So the question is, I just tell people like that's not Cal. It's not his fault that he's white. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So he does what he does, right?
Yeah. He's still invited
It's
to the cookout.
yeah, it's on the left because you have the left who say, "Oh, we support people of color. We support women of color." Meanwhile, the most popular shows are white people. Let's say Cal Kalinske get more views. I seen it because I like watch this stuff now. I'm a content creator. Like he will release a
Hmm.
video, get more views in that video in 10 minutes than we do in like a whole week. So there's nothing wrong with that. But Cal is gonna have his weaknesses. You can't expect a white ally to be perfect on everything. If they're good on some things, that's great. That's why I didn't cancel Jimmy Dore. Because Jimmy Dore is
Hmm.
not perfect on everything, but he's good on things that matters.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I feel with Cal because I am definitely to the left of Cal. Like
Hmm.
way to the left of Cal.
Hmm.
When I started, when I figured out who he was, I was to the right of him. I opened about my lib stage. But it's
Hmm.
because he's good at educating people about institutional corruption, talking about Medicare fraud, talking about taxes, talking about a lot of stuff that I was not aware of as someone who's politically developing. He has his value
Hmm.
that way. But just like with Bernie Sanders, post Bernie Sanders, I told you guys, I don't understand people who shift to the right when Bernie Sanders lost. Like when Bernie Sanders lost, I doubled down and became even
Yeah.
further to the left. So that's how
Yeah.
I
Me
am
too.
now. So there's a point where Kyle had a lot to teach me about like left philosophy, but now I think I'm further left to him on
Hmm.
a lot of these issues because one thing you gotta understand is defund the police is not a bad slogan because it tells you exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
And that simplicity of that slogan is why we turn public opinion, which I said during the summer on my show.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
told you guys that was gonna happen. How'd I know?
Hmm.
All you gotta do is look at history. That's it.
Yeah.
That the bus sit-in wasn't supported. The fight
Yeah.
for gay rights was not supported. Barack Obama was not supportive of gay rights when he was
Hmm.
elected president.
Neither was Joe Biden.
So you have the country. It takes time to win these issues, but you don't dodge the issues because it's a hard fight to have.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what a lot of the popular white YouTubers do. It's easy to make a video about like Dave Rubin or Tucker Carlson, and if we talk about Tucker Carlson, we must be talking about race issues. That's how they see it. Meanwhile, they leave the institutions that are actually harming us untouched. But what I said, I mean, that's why I disagree with Cal, and that will be my criticism of white progressive media. But I told you, Cal does a good job breaking down a lot of things. For like Medicare for all, he does a great job on foreign policy. His foreign policy is incredible. That's why I watch his show a lot, and that's why I watch Dore a lot, because I'm a foreign policy nerd. Like I became radicalized through the Iraq War. I was in high school during the Iraq War when that was going on. So that's how I got my lens of politics, with viewing politics that, oh my God, we got George Bush in office and he is literally bombing the shit out of brown people. That's why I was supportive of Barack Obama, because he's like, we gotta end the wars. He got elected on the mandate of ending the Afghanistan war and the Iraq war, and instead he was the biggest instrument and biggest obstacle the anti-war movement have ever seen. Barack Obama killed the anti-war movement. There was a giant anti-war movement in 2006 and 2007. But then they elected Barack Obama. He put everyone to sleep. What does that sound like? All this shit is predictable. I've recently been saying that the reason why Joe Biden is not going through his campaign promises right now, everyone's shocked. Everyone's surprised. Joe Biden not canceling medical debt. I mean, sorry, he's not canceling student loan debt. Joe Biden not giving $15 minimum wage. He didn't give a $2,000 check. He's not even supportive of a public option that most Republicans support. He didn't halt all deportations. Why is he breaking his promises? You guys was wondering why I said I wouldn't vote for Joe Biden? I was on a stream with Vosh, and he had the audacity to quote his platform to me as a reason to vote for Joe Biden. And they made a big deal, because I said there's only two things I knew that was on the platform. Like, there's $15 minimum wage public option. And him and his crowd made a big deal because he's like, oh, you don't know his whole platform? I told him I didn't know his platform because he's not going to do it. Who was right? And he was telling people that you got to vote for Joe Biden because he's against student loan public option. I'm like, bro, where in history has this ever happened? Where you have a Democrat get elected and actually do the things they say they're going to do. Joe Biden is a serial liar. Joe Biden said he was arrested protesting with Nelson Mandela.
I'm gonna be real with you. Vouch got played.
Like, all of them got played. All the people that was campaigning for Biden got played. Because this is the strategy the Democrat Party does. And they did it before. They run on a very popular platform, and then they have a supermajority. And with the supermajority, they don't do anything with it. That leads to voter apathy, and then they lose in the midterms. But it's cool because they use that platform to get elected on. So it's cool. The people who lost their races in the midterms, it's cool for them as well, because they can get an MSNBC analyst position. They can become a corporate lobbyist. That will happen to Claire McCaskill, my senator, when she lost to John Hawley. You start seeing her on MSNBC. She started taking corporate lobbyist gigs. You got Barack Obama and his old cabinet taking anti-union busing gigs. This is what the Democrat Party do. So they say he's a smart guy who knows everything about politics, but you didn't see this coming? I've been in this game for less than a year, and I knew that Joe Biden was going to do none of his campaign promises. How did I know this coming? Because they always do this. So now what's the next step for the Democratic Party? 2022 comes, they lose seats because they didn't pass their platform. That's okay though, because now they can fundraise. We got to win the House back. We got to win the Senate back. Donate to the DCCC. Donate to down ballot Democratic candidates. It's a grift. And then they use that money to pay their Democratic insiders millions of dollars a year, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. They get paid an insane rate. And you guys don't see this grift? Vosh don't see this grift. The people that are advocating for Joe Biden in the Democrat Party, who's like, oh my God, I can't believe Joe Biden didn't pass his campaign promises. You guys didn't see this grift. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? I saw this coming a mile away, and I had people yelling at me, he won't vote for Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden said you to cancel student loans. Womp womp. Womp womp. How'd that go for you, bro? How'd that go for you? Now, we could have had a situation where we had Green Party hit 5%. This is something else Boston's audience don't know. If the Green Party hit 5%, they get federal funding. So we got something out of that election that allows them to be better at winning down ballot candidates, because the people who support uplifting the Democratic Party, their criticism like, oh, the Green Party, the third parties don't win. Why do you don't think they win?
Because you don't vote for them.
And they don't get the federal funding. If the Green Party get 5%, they get federal funding. So what's better for the left? Voting for Joe Biden, who got established in the back and not get anything done, or vote for the policy platform that had reparations on there, that had double Social Security, that had cut the military budget by 75%. So yeah, I know Howie Hawkins had some problems, but I thought the left were policy-based voters. What happened to that? I remember like, we vote for policy. Then they were like, I guess we gotta vote for Joe Biden, who said he will veto Medicare for all.
Yeah, they didn't put their money where their mouth was because they were all like
they buckled. They were pussies.
Yeah,
they buckled.
It was all about
Trump
derangement
syndrome. But go ahead, Jack.
And and it's like okay, so yeah, Trump is terrible. The Republicans are terrible. Why are we gonna look? Why are you gonna talk about how bad shit stinks when you already know it stinks? People don't know how bad the Democratic Party is. That's why we have to say it. That's why we have to tell it. And this is one of the reasons why we don't say shit about Republicans, because everybody knows they're a bunch of vomit on the floor. It's like, yeah, no duh. I'm talking about the people who the Democratic Party sells you a pile of shit and calls it chocolate ice cream. And we're telling you that it's shit. And if you're still telling us that, no, it's chocolate ice cream, by the time you take that spoonful, we're looking at you like this. And now you're spitting it out because you realize how shitty they were. But guess what? You're going to forget in 2 years and in 4 years. And guess what? You're going to be saying the same shit back to us again. Oh, we got to vote for the Democrat because there's going to be fascism. Guess what? There's already fascism in the Democratic Party. Did you not know?
That's another Tuesday.
Were you not aware? Were you not aware? Guess what? You got a fascist right there in the White House. You have red fascists, blue fascists. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. One fascist, two fascists. It's the same thing. Joe Biden is saying the same shit that Donald Trump was saying. We got to get kids back into school, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic. We got to, he's not doing anything for anybody's healthcare whatsoever. He's the one who's like, oh yeah, we got to put it at $1,400, not $2,000. Help, and so, yeah.
Let me say this.
You can't. Yeah, go ahead.
There are a lot of people that think they have class solidarity. And why am
I
pushing up at these people? Because once again, I mentioned before, Rabbit Fufu, I appreciate you leaving a comment like, yeah, I used to watch Secular Talk or whatever all the time. Now I watch FHL every day. I'm probably people of color. Because this doesn't apply to Kyle. I give Kyle a lot of credit because he didn't vote for Hillary. Yeah. He didn't vote for Hillary or Joe Biden. So this doesn't apply to Kyle. This applies to the people who was campaigning for the Democratic Party. Majority poor, Vosh, these people. How much? I ask you guys, you think you got class solidarity? How much money do you think these people make? Vosh make $200,000 a year. He live in Beverly Hills, and he on that black people, poor black people. We are poor. I'm poor. JB is poor.
Yeah,
they're yelling at poor black people to vote for the Democratic Party, who is corrupt and racist. You guys are giving them likes and clicks. What? Like, are you guys sick? Are you guys kidding me right now? Like, they was literally yelling at me, and they hated me because I said I, as a black man, is not going to vote for my oppressor, Joe Biden.
No.
And they make $200,000 a year. They make a shit ton of money. They live in Beverly Hills. They got health care. They're not a victim of the crime bill. They're not a victim of the bankruptcy bill. And these same people had the audacity to yell at black lesbians and say you got to vote for Joe Biden. But these are people you watch. These guys are people that they're very popular. But this is why I trash the U.S. left. People are like, oh Nick, why you so hard on the DSA and social democrats? This is why, because they propping this guy up. They propping up the rich white people on YouTube that yell at people to vote for Joe Biden. How much money do you think David Pakman make? Sam Cedar is rich. Jake Huger is rich. TYT is a corporation funded by multimillionaires. And they yelling at you to vote for Joe Biden, and then you punch left at young black leftists at the Hampton Leftists, and you think you got class solidarity?
You're literally voting for the guy who doesn't want to do anything to help somebody like me out. A black, gay, disabled person. And so what is Joe Biden going to do for me? Absolutely nothing, because he doesn't see me. So
why would you vote for him? But they will be like, oh, you selfish because you won't vote for a guy who destroyed your community. Because this is one point. I'm going to get to some other questions here soon. I made this tweet before. My problem with the Democratic Party, and this is the misconception that people have. The misconception is, oh, you just mad because the Democratic Party doesn't do enough for the black community. That you think they think my problem is that the Democratic Party doesn't do enough for Black people. That is not my problem. That is a problem, but that is not why I am as anti-Democratic Party as I am. It's not that they don't do anything for Black people. They are complicit with what harms our community. So it's not like they're not helping us. They are the reason why we lose wealth. It's not like they're not helping us. They're the reason why we're in jail. The crime bill. Racial income inequality got worse under Barack Obama and Joe Biden than it did under George Bush. Did Voss tell you that? Did white people tell you that? No, because they made money. White people made money during Obama years. Racial income inequality got worse. He built up Wall Street. He installed Eric Holder, who used to work at Wall Street, as a Wall Street plant. This has been written and documented by establishment media. I see if I can find an article real quick so I show my sources, guys. But Eric Holder used to work for Wall Street, so he get hired by Barack Obama because WikiLeaks showed that Barack Obama cabinet was chosen by Wall Street.
It was, yeah.
So Eric Holder comes in as Attorney General and chooses not to prosecute the bankers who illegally foreclosed on Black homeowners. Because what they was doing, what Steve Mnuchin did, which Kamala Harris let off, what he did was illegally foreclose on Black homes, and that's directly responsible for Black wealth tanking. But they want us to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene?
And also Steve Mnuchin donated to Kamala Harris's campaign, and now Kamala Harris had the chance to put him in the clinker for doing what he did, but she chose not to.
So my question is, because we got way more viewers who watch this than usual. If you watch the other shows, have you heard this breakdown? Have you heard how these policies actually affect the Black community? Now put these things together, because it's easy to theorize. It's easy to say this stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you gotta vote for Joe Biden." No, what?
Yeah,
we live this shit. People are broke. People lost homes. In my family, I know people who lost homes. I know people who got homeless. I know people who make less money than they did 5 years ago. I'm sorry, when they made less money than they did before Barack Obama. And they are struggling. These have real consequences on our health, our mental health. We are dying faster. We're much more tensed up. This is why we're more likely to get into conflict. This is why crime is up, because we're struggling. Give our homies healthcare and housing and education, and the crime rate goes down. That's been proven.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party, that's why I said my problem isn't what the Democratic Party not doing, it's what they do. Because they fund the police more instead of giving us money, instead of giving us health care. And you guys wonder why I don't like the Democratic Party? Are you serious? Why do you, Socialist MMA, why don't you talk about Republicans more? Bro, the Republicans are, Amy Klobuchar takes way more money than any Republican does by the police. And like the Republicans support these kinds of things, but where is our resistance? Why would I take Republicans who I don't even have the resistance to what's destroying my community? Let me get the resistance first. Guys, there's nothing more I love. I will want it, and I'll get JB here very soon. There's nothing I wanted more than to fight Donald Trump under the banner of Bernie Sanders. Because I was opposed to right-wing hypocrites when they went after socialism, when the mainstream media went, I was ready for that war. That's why I'm ready to fight the Republican Party once we have an army to fight it with. I am not going to prop up the Republican Party and hold water for neoliberalism and Joe Biden. That's what you're doing when you do nothing but focus on Republicans, but you're not talking about the stuff we're talking about. You think you're resisting, but you're not. You're actually propping up neoliberalism. And I'm going to make the last point, JB. I want to get your thoughts on this point, too. Because people are like, oh, so you're not going to vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump? That means you must think neoliberalism is worse than fascism. And guys, you're not being clever. You're not being intellectual when you say that. Because when you say that, you are not being anti-fascist when you say that. You're apologizing for neoliberalism. Let me repeat that. When you say, oh, you don't want to support Biden over Donald Trump, that means you must support fascism or neoliberalism. When you say that, you are just getting neoliberalism more legitimacy than it deserves. So fascism has done a lot of damage to humanity in human history. But what do you think is responsible for the destruction in the Middle East? What do you think is responsible for 1 out of 4 people in the world being incarcerated being from the United States? Not China. You think China got more prisoners than us? You out of your mind. This is neoliberalism. racial income inequality dropping and the black community life expectancy dropping is due to neoliberalism. So you just saying, oh, you got to support the neoliberal or the fascism every single time. That's you not being anti-fascist. That's you giving a shield to neoliberalism. And that's exactly what every single Biden voter did. I'm sorry, I'm not vote shaming. I'm just telling that's what it is. That's what happened. you guys just made it easier to sell neoliberalism. Now we got Joe Biden and the Democratic Party for 12 years. We could have got Green Party to 5% and then fought them in 2024 with a progressive army. Now we got to deal with Joe Biden running again in 2024. And you guys think they're going to primary Joe Biden? Are you kidding me? What planet do you guys live on? I talk to the people who don't agree with me. What planet do you live on where they're going to allow they're going to allow Bernie Sanders to primary Joe Biden? They're going to allow AOC? You guys think AOC going to primary Joe Biden in 2024? Do you guys really believe that? Do you know how stupid that is? So instead of voting for the Green Party and again letting them get 5%, and then opposing Trump and staying in the street like we should, and then fighting in 2024, now Joe Biden have an 8-year administration. Then Kamala Harris is gonna come with Pete Buttigieg. They're gonna steal the primary. And then now we got 12 years, 16 years of neoliberalism with no chance to oppose it because you're a coward. Because you let the corporate media establishment convince you of the lesser of two evils. That's why I don't apologize when people get mad at me with my Biden vote. Because I gave it a lot of thought, whether people believe it or not. To me, we were in a screwed situation whether Biden or Trump won, as I explained throughout the course of this podcast. So if we're going to be screwed no matter what, we might as well put ourselves in a position where we're better off. And I think we were better. Now we're not getting $15 minimum wage, not getting a public option, not getting canceled student loan debt. We would have been better getting a third party 5%. Even then, Biden still would have won. Biden won by a landslide. Donald Trump campaign sucked. He didn't need the left. They was right. They won because they got bourgeoisie white voters in very important districts. So a lot of you leftists didn't even have to vote. You could have just voted for the Green Party. And Trump would have lost, Biden would have won, and then we would have a mechanism to continue to oppose the duopoly. But nope. You listen to MSNBC, you listen to TYT, you let them fearmonger you listen to Vosh. Because, fascism. Even though that's another Tuesday. You think Joe Biden not fascist? Fuck out of here. He responsible for 2.4 million deaths in Iraq. But fascism. Fuck out of here. JB, what's your thoughts? Let me get some more comments.
Yeah, I want people to realize this. Did you know that neoliberalism is on the road to fascism?
Yep. Yeah,
why do I say that?
Yeah, that's a great point. David, big shout out to David. He said neoliberalism, fascism. Keep going,
JB. Yeah. So, I didn't know you said that. I wasn't paying attention.
No, I just want to give him a shout out. I know.
Okay, thank you for that, by the way. But yeah, so the thing is that how did we get Donald Trump? We got Donald Trump simply, it wasn't because, we just have a bunch of racists in this country. No, we had racists back in this country when FDR became president. The problem is that you had these neoliberal policies that have brought down the working class so bad that they were willing to turn to a maniac and put him in the White House. And so because they were willing to turn to a maniac, then guess what? Then you gave him, the arena for him to be able to go and be president for 4 years. But the thing is that people aren't realizing is Donald Trump would not be able to do the shit that he did without some of the policies that Biden helped put in place. Policies like the crime bill, policies like the bankruptcy bill, policies like the Patriot Act, policies like those. And so because of Joe Biden and the things that he's done, then it actually ended up making Donald Trump more powerful. So you guys can come after us for saying that we wouldn't vote for Joe Biden. But the thing is that we're not going to vote for the catalyst that helped create Donald Trump. We're not going to vote for him. And the thing is that for us to vote for our oppressors, you have your goddamn mind if we're going to vote for them. It's stupid. Why would we do that?
And that was literally what they be saying, man. Like that was the white leftists were saying. I asked these men. I literally gave them a chance to explain this. Voss told me to our face we should vote for our oppressors. This is what they really believe. And people, this is the anti-blackness that's in the left. People think we making this shit up.
Yeah.
I asked you, what did I say that was unreasonable? When I say Joe Biden the most anti-black politician, can y'all debunk it? What policies have been more effective at destroying the black community in the crime bill and the bankruptcy bill? And like 40% of the homeless population is black. Do you know that? Did they tell you that? Did any of these white shows tell you that? Doubt it.
Yeah.
Went out. Sorry, JP, go ahead.
No, we're like 12% of the population, right?
Yeah.
12, 13% of the population, but we're 40%.
Yeah, 4 out of 10 homeless. So
Okay.
remember, silence is violence. So when the Democrats allow people to go homeless, that's anti-blackness. But does the white progressives who yell at us to vote for Joe Biden, do they care? Do they care that we're 40% of the homeless population? Do they? Do they care about the Haitian immigrants that Biden deported? Do they care about Palestine? One of the quotes I said, one of the tweets I made before the election, that I think got people thinking. I'm like, bro, you guys said lesser two evils, but there are no lesser two evil for the Palestinians. Let me tell how is that going for the Palestinian people? The lesser two evils making the bomb feel better for them? Are they more comfortable living outside because they got their home replaced? Because Joe Biden is president instead of Donald Trump? Joe Biden, who's complicit with his new operation with the Israeli state, because before the ceasefire, right? Once again, I don't know if they told you this in the other places you gotta watch. Before the ceasefire, Israel literally let the United States know that they were pretty much done with their operations. Joe Biden blocked the UN resolution for the ceasefire 5 times before that. So then Israel finished the operation. They did their land grab. Then Joe Biden came out like, all right, we in the ceasefire. And then you dumbass progressives praised them for it. The Western left, the white bourgeoisie left, sucks at foreign policy. Because they fought for Joe Biden stuff. They were like, oh, see, this is why we vote for Joe Biden, because it was Donald Trump, things would be bad. Bro, they had the same Joe Biden is to the left of George Sr. on this. You guys realize that George Sr. in the 90s literally said that he was going to hold U.S. aid with conditions with how Israel will treat the Palestinians. Joe Biden is to the right of George Bush Sr. on this issue. But you're talking about the lesser of two evils. What the hell? Let's see if we got some questions. Let's see. I appreciate the engagement, guys. This is probably one of the funnest streams I did. That's why I'm going long. At this point, we're just vibing. You guys know I got my anti-stress here. We vibing. We went on a long rant. Basically, that came from one question. But that's what me and JB do. That's what we do. That's why I'm having fun with you guys, because that question was just how we fought Kyle. But to summarize, I like Kyle, and I'll just explain what my differences are. I don't count. Like I said, we anti-cancel culture. So despite all my issues I have with him, I still get like whenever I see he has a great breakdown of foreign policy, I watch it.
Yeah, and I do believe that people should be held accountable. So don't think that the whole anti-cancel culture thing is not holding people accountable. People should be held accountable, but on things that really matter. The banks should be held accountable. Big pharma should be held accountable. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, George W. Bush Jr., Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, they should be held accountable. They should be canceled. Those are the people who I want to cancel. People.
That's a good distinction.
Yeah.
That's a good distinction. I want to make something clear, and I'll let you finish your thought, because cancel culture does not exist for the ruling class. So when you understand my point, once you acknowledge that cancel culture exists for people who punch up. So once again, you have right wingers, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, even a lot of liberals. They be like, "Oh, I got canceled." Barry Weiss, but I got canceled. Meanwhile, they holding a press conference with cameras and microphones pointing at them while they give the I've been canceled press conference. When a black leftist, when an anti-war page on Facebook get pulled, do you think they get in a press conference? That's real cancel culture, not right wing. Sorry, JB. I want you to finish your point. I just want to add that to it.
What about Reality Winner? She was canceled. What about Julian Assange? He was canceled. What about Edward Snowden? He was canceled. What about Fred Hampton? He was canceled.
Now that's a cancel.
That's a cancel. When they come into your house when you're sleeping and they shoot you dead. Black people have been canceled. We've been canceled. So guess what? All that little frilly shit about cancel culture, sorry. No. You know what's canceling? The fact that I have a brother that has been subject to police brutality. That's cancel culture.
That's real cancel.
Okay? When you have Tara Reid, who spoke
That's
about the
cancel
abuse that
culture.
she suffered at the hands of Joe Biden, she experienced cancel culture. Okay, you guys want to talk about cancel culture? Let's talk about cancel culture. All right, because the thing is that you guys talk about somebody that said something in a wrong way or whatever, and they're still on TV. They're still talking all the bullshit that they're talking about. That's not cancel culture. And to the people who are on the right, you guys are not immune either, because you guys are some of the worst offenders of cancel culture. Uh, Nike, hello. Colin Kaepernick, hello.
Yep,
You guys
get their
cancel
ass.
the most. You guys cancel so much. You guys wanted to cancel Elvis Presley. Good God. You guys wanted to cancel my homeboy, Little Nas X. You guys are the kings and queens of cancel culture. You guys wanted to cancel people like me, part of the LGBTQ community. You guys wanted to cancel Jews back then. So guess what? The whole cancel culture bullshit, y'all need to y'all need to chill out with that, because there are people who have been canceled all over. And the real people who are canceled, you either don't hear about them, or when you do hear about them, it's years later, because the people who are in Black Wall Street got canceled. The people who are in Tulsa, and back in Tulsa, people who were in Ocoee, Florida, the Ocoee massacre, they got canceled. The people, the Japanese in the internment camps were the people who got canceled. You know, so yeah, you guys need to stop with all that and start focusing on the real people who get canceled, the people who are killed, who are marginalized. Disabled people get canceled all the time. We live in being canceled. This is one of the reasons why we're so uh, we are so degraded as far as our economic, standing. So yeah, let's look at nuance here, and let's focus in on that, because all this, shit talk about people being canceled, nah, nah. We need to focus more on what's real. Capitalism is what cancels all of us.
Well said. Y'all need to follow JB Fon on Twitter. I already got enough followers, but y'all need to hit JB Fon, dropping knowledge to us.
Hmm.
Another good question. Why the problem with Jimmy going on Tucker Carlson to reach right wing voters? I don't have a problem with that at all. There are a lot of people on the right, on the left that does. And my question to them was, why is that bad? But were you okay with Bernie Sanders going on Fox News on for a town hall? I thought we was clear on this issue.
Yeah, we were.
I thought we were clear. He got
We were.
Tucker Carlson to agree with Julian Assange being he should be freed. You understand how significant that is for the issue of Julian Assange? The fact that he got the most watched cable news host to agree that Julian Assange should be freed? They're giant.
Hmm.
So I thought we agreed on this. I thought Bernie Sanders going on Fox News to drag the audience to the left. So that's what we should do. And then the
Hmm.
same shit lives who get mad at Jimmy Dore and smear him for going on Tucker Carlson. They smear Greenwald as well for going on Tucker Carlson. Then they are cited when Pete Buttigieg did the same thing. Because Pete Buttigieg went on Fox News tour and he pretty much was attacking them from a neoliberal angle. And then the same liberals who get mad at leftists for going on Fox News praise Pete Buttigieg. So
Hmm.
if you're one of the leftists who fought for this nonsense, like bro, they're playing you because the
Hmm.
neoliberals do it.
Hmm.
And by the way, why is it wrong to go on Fox News and Tucker Carlson? If you're gonna have that position, be consistent. Why is that wrong? But you can go on the Raytheon funded MSNBC. Why can you go
Hmm.
on CNN, who's funded by weapon contractors in Wall Street, that are responsible for countless deaths? So that's not a big deal, but Fox News is who's complicit in that as well. Where's the logic? I just want the consistency because if you'd have had that position, you should get mad at everyone
Hmm.
who go on MSNBC and CNN as well. They're not
Yeah.
whataboutism. That's me asking for intellectual consistency because I don't agree
Hmm.
with that stance.
Hmm.
To be clear, I think you should go on Fox News. I think you should go on CNN. You should go on MSNBC. I went on Vox for that same reason. I think you should
Hmm.
go on and win people over. That's what politics is about. That's why I wasn't mad
Hmm.
when Jimmy invited the Boogaloo Boy on. A lot of people was mad. I get it, but that wasn't what I wasn't mad because this is not what I'm about. I'm about communication.
Hmm.
Like, what benefit do we get of locking ourselves out? That we don't win that way. So how are you going to, like, in 2020, 2021, you got people saying that we shouldn't go on the highest rated cable news show and punch left? Like, Jimmy Dore is not going on Tucker Carlson like, yeah, I think we should lock up them immigrants in ICE. Yeah, I think we should lock up the black. Yeah, you're right, Tucker Carlson. We should buy more countries in the Middle East. Yeah, Tucker Carlson, you're right. You're right. We should cut unemployment aid. Yeah, you're right, Tucker Carlson. You're right. The average American worker is lazy. We should cut their aid. We should pay him a living wage. He's not doing that. He went on there, as far as I know. Leave the comments if I'm wrong. As far as I know, he went on there and got him to agree that Julian Assange should be released. He called Joe Biden and he called Donald Trump a war criminal in front of millions of people. Good job, as far as I'm concerned, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Broken clock, right?
Bro, I dare Tucker Carlson to invite me on. I dare him. I will look at him in the face and I'll explain to him why he was an idiot for believing in Donald Trump. Because Tucker Carlson, he plays his populism game. Where he's like, oh, I'm against the elites. I'm against the ruling class. But you support Donald Trump? Donald Trump only ran for president because he wanted approval from the ruling class. That's why.
Look, Tucker Carlson is an elite. His last name is Swanson of the Swanson Dinner Company. So guess what? He is part of the elite. So the thing is that you can go on his show and prove his grift on his own show. And then guess what? You could also win over people by going on his show. And then next thing you know, because you're going on there you're going on there with the idea of on your own terms. You're not capitulating to his ideology. You're actually getting him to capitulate to yours. You're actually getting him to agree on the left. And guess what? That people will watch that and let's say, for instance, hypothetically, he doesn't walk away with it agreeing. There are people that are watching, and there are people that would see that they agree. And funny enough, there's a lot of people who voted for Trump that actually wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
I know a few. I
talked to him.
And so the thing is, if you can get them to agree and then move them to the left, that's the best victory of all. Turning an enemy into a friend is the best victory.
Well said. Triclops in the chat. Big shout out to him. He said support black leftists. Appreciate it. And I'm not even saying that to be selfish, man, because I had this conversation with Sabrina Sabbs. We had a whole roundtable. It's on our pin tweet. We were talking about what our experience as black content creators. So when I say black leftists, I'm not just talking about Fred Hampton leftists. I'm talking about Sabrina Sabbs as well. A lot of these other black content, like not even just black people too. Like, cause there's a lot of things I learned from Latina and Latino activists. Right? I learned a lot. I learned a lot from indigenous activists. I learned a lot from my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters because they told. Like, I learned a lot from Richard Medhurst. He's an Arab Christian, I believe, that he described himself on our show. I'm not putting words in his mouth. That what he said when he was on the show. So listen to all these people. I'm not saying it just to be like selfish for black people, but I learned a lot on stuff like issues of ICE. That's why I raised those issues, because I learned from my Latino brothers and sisters. I learned a lot about the issue of Israel-Palestine. Listen to my Palestinian brothers and sisters. So not just black leftists, support all these people. Like, the fact that all the most popular shows on the left is hosted by white people, and there's not a commendation of the white people themselves. It just shows that it's like there's something wrong. And as that we mentioned in our show, there's like an inherent bias where people will see black people talk about politics and they assume we don't know what we're talking about. They don't want to admit it, but that's the inherent bias, whether they want to admit it or not.
There's also, and let me ask you this too. Do you see that there's also an inherent, I don't want to say just looking down on us, but it's like, if we haven't studied theory, then it's like, what kind of leftist are you? And it's like, those of us who have lived this, we don't need to study theory. We've lived it. So therefore, there's no need for us to have to open a book and read Marx or follow exactly what Lenin did or anything like that. I honestly think that because we have lived the lives that we've lived, that is pure proof that capitalism just doesn't work.
Well said. Well said. So once again, I appreciate everyone for watching, but we got a Patreon link up there as well. If you guys want to support, leave a like, because that helps us out as well. Great comment here. He said, this from Neil. I'm getting some of these comments. A lot of these comments were left a little, like, long time ago, but I said I was going to get through them. So if you're watching now, if you want to ask us a question, you got anything you want to talk about? I'm like, JB, you free to leave wherever you want, but I'm chilling. I got nothing else to do until the fight start. So
Yeah. What fight you watching?
there's gonna be something on tonight. I don't remember. Like there's always a fight, whether it's boxing, Muay Thai, or UFC. And at this point, I usually just wait to see like the day of and the day before. But I've been so
Okay.
busy with our recent streams. I don't. I got. Let me see. Why
Yeah.
not? Hold on. Let me go.
Triceratops said we live the theory. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what we do.
exactly. What a great comment.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that people need to realize is that there's a lot of us, including white people, they've lived the theory. I want to give a shout out, to people like, Alan Axelrod and Eclectic Radical on Twitter. And you guys can check out his show. They talk about a lot of these deep issues that, we leftists need to have these conversations. And so, yeah, I mean,
Damn, I fucked up. See, I should have looked. I just looked and I missed the Muay Thai event today. Damn, they had a big Muay Thai championship in one FC.
oh,
Sion
oh,
Tech fought. Damn, he won by knockout. Body shot 2 minutes in. Damn, that would have been great to see. Oh well, it was a good stream. See, that's the thing when you follow combat sport because they sometimes those fights be in Asia. Really high
hmm
level Muay Thai is in Asia, so the time zone's a little different. So that's a shame. I missed the
oh,
big fights. Fuck. Oh well, that does give me even more reason to stream, right? Even more reason. Like this is like a special Fred Hampton left this Saturday episode. I'm really happy because honestly, this is the most views we ever had because Jimmy Dore,
hmm
he's a needle mover. So I hope you guys having a good time with us. And if you are, share with your friends, hit the bell because we
hmm
upload every day. You guys realize that, right? And I know some. I don't remember who asked this question, but I remember it. Now, once again, some of the comments go away after a while, but I still remember the question. Someone was
hmm
asking. It was near the end. At first, when like after Jimmy Dore went off, they was asking like what next big guest we have. And I think that's when they started talking about Kyle because I saw in the chat that was like, yeah, you guys should talk to Kyle Kalinske. So I think I can announce it now, and this is for the people who are watching. Uh, I'm definitely in conversation with Fred Hampton Jr. Like Anthony Clark, I did a show with him 2 weeks ago. He works in Chicago. He did a lot of mutual aid and do a lot of charities out in Chicago. So he actually very good friends with the chairman himself. And because Anthony Clark is a true comrade, he got introduced him to me. And I want to make one thing clear because Smear Merchant is against Smear Merchant. When we name ourselves Fred Hampton Leftists here, when I say Nick is a Fred Hampton Leftist, I am not saying I'm Fred Hampton. What I'm saying, this is who I strive to be. This is who I think black people should strive to be. When I say I'm a Malcolm X leftist, when I say I'm an MLK leftist, I'm not saying I'm that level of brilliance. I'm
hmm
saying these are the people I strive to be like.
hmm
And that's what we try to emulate in our shows. And that's why we try to give you guys the black point leftist point of view. That's why we engage in mutual aid. And that's why we kind of do those things. So that's going to be a big interview. I hope we get many views on that interview we did this one. Because it's going to be an honor to talk to Francis Jr. JB probably join me. Because I honestly will come to him in a humble way. Because I'm like, as a Frampton leftist, how do I improve? How do I get better? What does it
Yeah.
really mean to be a Frampton leftist? That's what I want to
Yeah.
talk to him about.
hmm Yeah. That would be a privilege. Um.
It'd
Uh.
be big ups to Anthony Clark because if it happens, it'd be because of him.
Yeah.
I've been following
Yeah.
for a long time. He ran for Congress
Mhm.
in Chicago. He still works as a teacher. Does a lot of great mutual aid and charity events.
Mhm.
He's the real deal, and because he's a real deal, he know Fred Hampton Jr. by name,
Mhm.
and he gonna hook us up. It's gonna be pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I am grateful for. Being introduced to so many people on the left. I gotta say this, man. There's so many kind people on the left, man.
Yeah,
To the
despite all the
to the
drama on Twitter, it's really filled
yeah,
with great people.
yeah. Kindness and compassion is full on the left, and that's one of the things that I am so grateful for. And it's almost like how when you were talking about you started treating people better when you move further to the left.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like not only do I want to treat people better just by treating because they deserve it, but I also want to do it because I want the left to look good because I see it and I want people to see what I see, you know. And this is one of the things, one of the reasons why I appreciate them so much because it's it's about it's about humanity and actually having a love for humanity in general and trying to make sure that everybody has a uh, dignified life. That's basically what it's all about, and that's one of the things I appreciate. about the left. And it really it touches you because you and it also pushes you to be even better. And this is one of the reasons why I'm just super happy to be with people who are like-minded like myself.
Well
Mhm.
said. Let's lot of great conversation. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Fred.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Twitter is a factor for hot takes and controversy. I'm telling you guys, every single person I met, I tell you, I canvassed for Bernie, met a lot of comrades
Mhm.
doing that. Every single
Mhm.
person I met on Twitter has been fantastic. That's
Yeah.
why I speak so hard. That's why I
Mhm.
speak so hard against the whole nonsense about there's a red brown alliance. Like, bro, I travel the country, me and leftists everywhere. That doesn't exist.
Mhm.
So I'm telling you guys this. So when if you see someone who's pushing that, just know they are someone who's there here to divide and conquer. Whether
Mhm.
they're a bad faith actor, whether they're a DNC operative, I'll let you come to that conclusion on your own.
Mhm.
But I had to. I purged a lot of these people. Like, people, it's funny to me because they be like, "Why you follow me?" I'm like, "You probably follow G off in those smear merchants," because that's what they do. They call everyone who they disagree with. They smear Jamie Dore. They smear Ryan Knight as people who are advocates of the bread. The brown, red alliance. Like, bro, I met Twitter leftists. I know a lot of these people who I'm friends with Ryan Knight. I talked to him extensively off the show as well. Like, he's
Mhm.
not. He don't want to ally with fascists. So
Mhm.
what are they doing? They are just intentionally being dishonest to divide the left. It's not a thing.
Mhm.
That's why you need to log off and touch grass. Because if you actually go and actually organize and be around leftists, you would know the whole red brown alliance thing is bullshit. At least in the U.S. left. And it's shame on
Mhm.
anyone who thinks that's a real thing. Like, it's so
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out. I saw him watching earlier. Hopefully, I'm saying your name wrong because I only read it before. His Twitter is D Liam Davis, candidate for U.S. House of Representative in Colorado. I think he said. I'm trying to remember
Huh.
all the comment. Once again, the comment's
Mhm.
gone. I'm just going on memory, guys.
Mhm.
But we've been following each other on Twitter. He's a candidate for the U.S. House. He watching the show. Much love to my
Mhm.
friend. Thank you for watching. Um, let's see what we got. A lot of I'm gonna get caught up here, guys. Here
Yeah.
soon. I still got
Yeah.
time here. Let's
Shout
see.
out to one of the people that follow me on Twitter, Kobe. Shout out to you. You a real one. All of you. Eric Weaver. You see Adam Starr. Uh, David. Maisel. D. Liam Doris. All of you guys. Margot Liam Forte. Swagger Dagger. Um, Hillary supporters claiming that Bernie is a Russian asset. If he's Russian asset, then so am I. I'm Russian asset too. I am black Russian. I like vodka. Um, pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I've been accused of being a Russian asset. I've been accused of being MAGA, and I'm like, I'm a socialist. Why would I be MAGA?
Doesn't make sense. Like, MAGA hates
uh,
socialists, right? Do you like people who say I'm like MAGA because I don't like Democrat Party? I'm like, you
mhm,
realize you are closer to the Overton window than I am with the Trump supporter, right?
mhm,
Like, the Biden bros will use the socialism smear against us. They're like, you're a
mhm.
socialist. And then they're like, you're a Trumper. Like, bro, you use the same type of points they do. Like, I know, 'cause I got these people on my feed all the time. They're like, you
Yep.
are just fucking socialist. Like
Yep.
that parody account I was tweeting. And I was
Mhm.
like, bro,
Yeah.
you sound just like a Trump supporter, right? What are you talking about? What do you mean that I'm a
Mhm.
secret Republican because I call Joe Biden out for being complicit with helping institute the policies that the Republican Party agree with?
Mhm.
Huh? Right?
Oh, let me ask you this question: to anybody who who was pushing Joe Biden,
You gotta hold it first.
uh,
For
yeah, to anybody who was pushing Joe Biden and were running on the whole $15 an hour, minimum wage or the cancellation of some student debt, he's not going to do it. How does that make you feel that he's not going to do it now? Do you feel played? Because if you do, good. Remember that feeling so when in 2022 and in 2024 happens, you won't get played again. Because guess what? You're going to do it again. It's the same song, different dance. And this is exactly what the Democratic Party does. So there's absolutely no reason to give them a listening ear when it comes to these things. Now, if they do something that's good, okay, cool. They do something that's good. But how often do they do it? They don't do it. The only time they ever really do it is something that's cultural. Okay. That's it. When it comes to actual economic policy that would actually help people, they don't do it because that means that if they do it, then that's going to ruin their gravy train. And the Republicans don't want them to do it either because it's also going to ruin their gravy train because it's the good cop, bad cop strategy. So, this is one of the reasons why we don't support the Democratic Party. Reason why is because they are the same party as the Republicans. Look at the donor list, follow the money. They all get the same money from the same people. So therefore, it does not make any sense to go with either one of them. Now, I mean, are there some people who think that the Democratic Party can be reformed? Possibly, but they're wrong. Why? Because we look at it in real time that it can't be reformed. So this is one of the reasons why I don't support the Democratic Party, and a lot of us who are on the left don't support them at all.
Thank you guys. I just want to say blanket thank you for all the comments. I'm going through
Hmm.
a few. I just want to thank everyone with the. I love our community because it's mostly just positivity. That's why I reject anyone that does that, like just pile on shit on Twitter. Because I'm trying to
Hmm.
cultivate a community that just uplifts each other. Like
Hmm.
do the stuff like we want to see Rome succeed in his fundraiser.
Hmm.
We rather spend our time helping Rome succeed and helping his community than
Hmm.
focus on hating on podcast guests. That's just me.
Yep.
that's why I'd rather spend my time. Like you guys know, I'm very generous with like my retweets and who I share and who I want to
Hmm.
uplift. To me,
Hmm.
I think it's more important to do that
Yeah.
than have Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome, right?
Hmm.
But a lot of people that's how they get their clout.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
really easy to get clout that way where you just focus on
Yeah.
political
Yeah.
personalities.
Yeah. And what Rome is doing, if you guys go follow Rome, his Twitter is at unholy Rome, and look at some of the pictures of what
I'll
he's
pull it
been
up.
doing. He's been building up. Yo, he has boxes of diapers all the way up to the ceiling and on multiple walls that he's giving away for people who have kids who may be in terrible conditions due to capitalism. He's also giving away toys. He had enough clothes to clothe 900 kids. You got to support that. You have to. Because
I
guess
have the
what?
information on the screen, guys. Now, so
Yeah,
please help
perfect.
Rome out. But go ahead, JB.
Yeah. Because Rome is a real one and he's doing the best he can. And if you can do more, that's mutual aid. That's the way how you can help out because he's helping people who are homeless, people who are housing insecure, and people like this. I mean, Rome's one of my heroes. I'm gonna be honest. I know he would be like, man, get the fuck out of here. But yeah, for real, he's one of my heroes because I needed somebody like him when I was a kid. I did.
Exactly.
And so I am so happy that he's doing it for other people. And I'm just grateful to be, you know, in league with somebody like Rome and Nick, RJ, CJ, and Jackie. It's a privilege.
And I want you guys we all part of the Fred Hampton Leftists family. Like when I
Hmm.
bring I'm like next week I'm actually busy, guys. I got a lot of good guests for you guys.
Ooh.
Sabrina Saab's coming on my show as well.
Oh,
Host of
yeah,
the
yeah,
Sabrina
yeah.
Saab. I'm bringing on Asal Raw. Hold on, I'm not saying her name wrong, but she has some great tweets on foreign policy, Israel, Palestine. She has a
Mhm.
PhD in Middle Eastern history, and she attacks the
Ooh.
establishment from the left. She's a bomb
Ooh.
thrower, so she's gonna be on the show as well. I want you guys, all everyone who come on the show, Ron Bacone, he's
Mhm.
coming back on here very soon.
Yeah.
Justin Jackson, he blessed us with his presence.
Mhm.
Richard Medhurst came on
Dr.
as
Wolf.
well. Kimberly, Margaret Kimberly as well from Black Agenda Report. Danny Harzon from Black Agenda Report.
Mhm.
I consider all these people to be part of Fred Hampton Leftists,
Mhm.
right? We
Yeah.
all represent the same thing, right? That's what
Yeah.
we want to do, and that's And that's why Rome wasn't here today, because you guys see that he was doing his event 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. He was that's why we uploading here Saturday. Luckily, it just so happened we had Dore come in while he was doing that event, right?
Yeah.
So, and I want to give a big shout out to David Jones. Apparently, there was a big donor to Rome in the past. He said he donated $500 to Rome in one of his mutual aid events, which is fantastic. So you're a hero too. We talking about Roman's hero, but people that help him do what he do also. All you guys are putting. We all can do what we do, right? Thank you, Adam, for your great comment. Once again, David, you said I'm doing what I can do, but yeah, that's what it's about. Because we can't rely on politicians to bail us out.
Thank you.
We can't rely on politicians to bail us out. We got to do it ourselves.
No. And you guys are the best at doing it than they are. You guys are better than politicians.
So I got 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes? Well, let's say, yeah, I think 30 minutes. 20 minutes? 20 minutes?
I think I can do 20. I can do
20 minutes.
20
okay, 20
minutes.
good.
Yeah.
So I got 20 minutes. We got 20 minutes, guys. Leave any more questions? What I kind of want to do now, like this is definitely a more informal part of the stream here. I have been preparing for this interview with Jimmy Dore, and I've pretty much been live. I've been live for about 3 hours now. So I haven't been seeing what's been going on today. So we'll end the stream to see what exactly I missed. And also leaving that up to you guys as well, because I remember back in my old live stream show that I used to have on Twitch, we used to have amazing commenters, Jan Marie's, Meg from Twitter. They leave great stories in the comments. I'll cover the comments as I see it. I like doing that kind of stuff. So let's see what's the, and if you see anything in the news, JB, or anything you want to bring up. Look at this. See, it didn't take hard for me to find something interesting to talk about. Check this out here. I want to get your thoughts on the JB. And this is a great follow. I got it on my Twitch stream. I guess I can share screen it. It won't be that hard, just so you can see it too.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
There we go. So, this thing froze. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I think you guys can hear me, but my screen just froze. Can you guys see the tweet by Professor Zinkis?
I can see it.
Okay.
I can see it on YouTube.
Okay. So that's how I know I've been doing this for a long time. We've been streaming for 3 hours, and my laptop just froze up. So this tweet was exposing how I can barely see it, but I know he was talking about how Joe Biden is complicit with there we go, my computer back working. Woo! Support us on Patreon, guys. We need better equipment. But anyway, this tweet says, this is from a great account, Professor Zinkis. It says, Joe Biden, the science guy, is continuing Trump's oil drilling projects in Alaska, exceeding expectations. He's mocking AOC there, obviously. So I'm not vote shaming. I'm just telling it how it is, guys. It's like people get mad at me when I point out why you're stupid for voting for Joe Biden, but I'm not vote shaming. I'm just telling you how it is as a political commentator. You're stupid. Yep. Because if you vote for Joe Biden with the expectation that he was going to stop climate change, what is wrong with you? What gave you the inclination that the guy who was literally advocating for fracking in the campaign trail was going to stop climate change? The guy who was funding the military more. Jimmy Dore brought up $758 billion additional for the military. You guys realize the military is the largest polluter in human history. You guys thought that guy was going to stop climate change. Very funny.
Yeah, very, very funny. It is. Yeah. As far as Joe Biden's concerned, he doesn't care about science, because if he truly cared about science, then he wouldn't be pushing kids to go back to school during a pandemic. Exactly. He's doing exactly what Donald Trump was saying that he wanted to do.
Exactly. Thank you for the new subs. Thank you, Santino. What was you about to say? Sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Yeah. By the way, in case it hasn't been said, Joe Biden and Donald Trump are the same people.
Same people. Yes, we said that. People are like, how can you say Donald Trump and Joe Biden the same? You using hyperbole. You mean the guy who been accused by sexual assault the same way Donald Trump was?
Which one?
The same guy who's the serial liar just like Donald Trump. You guys know that Joe Biden said he was a part of the civil rights movement and he was marching with civil rights activists. The guy who was advocating for segregation. Talk about a whitewash. And in the media let him go. That guy is more honest and honorable than Donald Trump.
Yeah, he went to jail trying to help out Nelson Mandela in South Africa. Yeah, real honest guy. Also, the same honest guy that got hit with the accusation of being a plagiarizer when he ran 2 other times back in the 80s for president. Oh, he's honest.
And it's been documented by corporate media that the Biden family enriched himself because of Joe Biden's run in the Senate and when he became vice president.
Of course, yeah.
Like, how did his son get a board position on an energy company in what is it, Germany or Hungary? I don't remember the country. Like he got a high position on the board, got paid like $100,000 a month with no qualifications. You guys don't think there's anything shady about that? So Trump and his family used the government to enrich themselves. I acknowledge that. That's true. That's why Trump sucks. But Biden does the same thing. The Biden family has enriched themselves through their course of public service.
Yeah. So much for public service. Yeah.
You know,
I think it was
really hard to find
$50,000.
stuff on Twitter. They've been purging a lot of like stuff on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
Yeah. But I think it was $50,000 a month that he was getting
$50,000. That wasn't one like the Hunter Biden. You guys follow my page. It wasn't something I was focused on because that's just another example of their corruption. The right wing loved that story because. But I'm like, how the right wing is obsessed over this story when your fucking boy Donald Trump and them do the same thing? Ivanka Trump and Jared made tens of millions of dollars. I think it was like, if I remember the number correctly, it was like $70 million that Ivanka Trump and Derek and Kushner made while Trump was president. So how are you gonna attack Hunter Biden when your boy doing the same thing? He making more money than Biden. They're better. The only difference is they're just better at the game. But Biden's a rich man. Barack Obama got a mansion in Martha Vineyard. Now tell me, how does someone who goes from a community organizer to someone who makes $200,000 a year gets a mansion in Martha Vineyard in less than 10 years? The math doesn't add up. Where do you guys think that come from? It's corruption, just like Trump. So it's not hyperbole when I say Joe Biden's like Trump, shit libs. There's even progressives who are like, oh, you shouldn't say that. Do you know Biden history? Do you know anything about Joe Biden? He's a racist. He was asked, people were surprised about the fact that he didn't halt deportation, the fact that he deported Haitian immigrants. But you had immigration activists that showed up at his campaign that was asking like, hey, yo, we wanted to give you a chance. But when you were serving under Barack Obama, you guys were the deporter-in-chief. I just want to make sure that you guys don't do the same thing again. Is that okay? He was like, vote for Trump. He like, and then the immigration activist was way nicer than I was. Because I would have blew up on his ass. I had the microphone. I would have made the news. I would have made the news right there. But he was nice. He was like, hey, yo, man, I'm just an immigration activist, bro. I just want to see if you want to stop the deportations that was going out of control under Obama and Trump. He said, no, vote for Trump. That's who Joe Biden is. And shame on Bernie Sanders for saying this guy's a decent guy. Shame on anyone who whitewashed this guy's record.
Yeah.
Ravi Fufu said $400,000 for an hour-long speech. You guys think Barack Obama worth that much money? You guys don't think that's corruption? Liberals like, oh no, you can't think people can work outside public service? That's crazy. You guys really think that Wall Street is paying Barack Obama $400,000 for a 1-hour speech out of the kindness of their heart? You know what that is? I explained earlier, Barack Obama bailed out Wall Street. He enriched their goons. He made sure Eric Holder didn't charge them. So those Wall Street payments and those speeches are the reward for doing that. You understand me? He getting those speeches. Hillary Clinton get those speeches because he did their bidding. And that's them saying, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And you don't think Democratic insiders, you don't think Cory Booker, for example, who vote for Wall Street and Big Pharma all the time, you don't see Pete Buttigieg, you don't think Beto O'Rourke, you don't think Stacey Abrams see that? There's a reason why Stacey Abrams buddy up to Mike Bloomberg and took his money. Because when they do stuff like that, it's more than just rewarding Barack Obama. It's sending a message to the people on the inside, if you play ball, we got your back. We got your back if you play ball. We get you a mansion in Martha's Vineyard. We make sure you won't get prosecuted, even though you was on Epstein's plane. Went Bill
Mhm.
Clinton. We make sure we give you legal immunity, even though you literally caught doing white collar crimes and getting arrested for
Mhm.
stuff that people like whistleblowers did, like Hillary Clinton. Like
Mhm.
this is how corruption works. And it's a shame that you don't
Mhm.
hear this online. You don't hear this a lot of places.
Mhm.
Anyway, what I said, I think that's a pretty good place to end it because we went 3 hours. It was a good marathon stream.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys enjoyed. They was like they long stream. Like no, actually RJ, he did a stream with my friend Steve Cox, former candidate, and they did like a 5 hour stream. I'm like, dang, RJ got something. I don't know if you saw that, but I remember they uploaded video. That shit, it was 5 hours. Like, dang, RJ's a beast. I remember I did 5 hours for the People Party convention stream I did a long time ago, but we did pretty long today, and I appreciate you being with us, JB.
Yeah. I appreciate you having
Providing
me.
your insight as well. I hope
Mhm.
everyone that watching this enjoyed. And I mean, this is easily the biggest video we had because we had Jimmy Dore on. But if you enjoy the content, stay with us because we're
Mhm.
gonna keep growing. And when you share these videos, you don't even have to share them to lefties. You know, share them to centrists and right wingers. I promise you, we will convert them. Assume you have friends with people who are intellectually honest. I've converted so many liberals and conservatives over my time
Mhm.
that we can do. That's how we grow. Anyway,
Mhm.
support us on Patreon for Hampton Leftists. What do you have coming up, JB?
So this Sunday, I have a friend that I've known for about 20 years. We'll be talking about Florida politics as well as unemployment, and we'll, shift some ideas. We'll just have a conversation. And the next week, we're going to be talking about the Samoan election with Michael Tanavasa, where I'll be actually having a conversation with him. So that's coming up the next Sunday. So my first live show will be tomorrow, Sunday at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday, live.
So I mean, I don't have shame when I ask, like if you're part of the Jimmy bump, because this is the biggest stream we have. If you're part of that Jimmy bump, I'm asking, stay around, hit the subscribe button, because these are the conversations we have every day. This is exactly
Hmm.
why I invited Dore on, because I said in the beginning of the stream, I said when Dore is good at bashing the Democratic Party and the corporate establishment, so we invite Dore on to bash the Democratic Party and corporate establishment, and
Hmm.
we push back on him when we had to, because I wanted
Hmm.
to have those tough conversations. And Jimmy
Hmm.
Dore, like I said, no, if you got all the problems you want from him, he handled that like a good sport. He's playing himself, didn't get mad.
Hmm.
So how can you get mad at him? That's what we do here at Fred Hampton Leftists. We want to ask people questions, and I hope you guys enjoy that.
Hmm.
Anyway, this is Social Summit, Fred Hampton Leftists. Stay tuned. We got a lot of good guests coming up. Peace out.
Deuces.